What's up, everyone? Guess what we've got today? We've had a special delivery, which actually came a bit early. Let's see about reversing that camera, actually. There we go, that's better. Yeah. All right, welcome in, everyone. The merch delivery came early today. I was expecting it a few days from now, but actually it's already come, so check it out. Hey, yeah, represent. How's that? Yeah. Stick a bit at the back as well. Yeah. There we go. So the quality is pretty decent. I thought I'd order it for myself first before letting anyone else get it. So if anyone actually wants one, just message me and I'll set up the delivery. Cool. So looks a bit more, gives a bit more status to the movement, hopefully. Do we have a Telegram group? Yeah, we do actually. And I suggest that you ask about it in my TikTok group chat, which you can join through my profile. We have a few leaders and other activists who should be able to help you access the Telegram. I think it's called Nature is Violent, though, if that helps. Thoughts on ethylism? It's not good enough. Ethylism is about not doing activism. And it's just not serious enough, basically. Ethylism is like just not thinking it through, not really caring to do a proper job. The person that made ethylism told us that he's against activism, he's against extinction, he's against making it happen. That's why, we would be ethylists if it weren't a complete joke, basically. It's not even a movement, it's not even an ideology, it's just an idea. Whereas extinctionism is the real deal. We are an actual movement of real activists motivated by the suffering, the extreme suffering in the world and, the pain going on, right? There's extreme suffering, lives of pure hell that aren't fair, aren't acceptable, and we have to help them, right? Like, if you've ever experienced extreme suffering, then you might know just how bad it is, or you might actually not know how bad it is, right? There's usually even more extreme suffering that you're not aware of a lot of the time. And that's kind of a mistake that a lot of people make. They don't think about the rest of the suffering in the world. They only compare it to their own suffering. And so they don't realize that there's much worse pain and misery out there in the world, right? A lot of people don't even think that wild animals suffer. So, people are very ignorant to the existence of suffering, really, and how bad it is, how extreme it can be. All right, so we've got a couple people in the queue already. Let's get started. Okay, first person coming up. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, good morning. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go for it.
For example, you have heard of genocides going on in the world.
Yep.
Are you okay with them because they are killing people? Or that aligns with your...
No, so that's actually against what we want. So right now, we actually need more humans because in order to do animal extinction and to investigate, universe-wide extinction and to, investigate how to prevent life developing on Earth again, to do a proper job, we can't allow humanity to decline or to start going extinct. Because if we have less humans, it makes it much harder to do the science, to carry out animal extinction first before we do humans. So the more humans, the better, actually, right? Animal extinction could take hundreds or thousands of years, and total prevention of life ever coming back could take thousands of years. And that's just for Earth. And then we could potentially be able to do something for beyond Earth, maybe. So it's at least worth looking into. But the point is that we cannot focus on human extinction yet. We need to work on the best extinction, and that depends on humanity, right? If humanity goes extinct first, then animals will continue to suffer for billions of years. So we can't allow that to happen.
I understand human extinction, but what, like, why animals? We can leave them alone. Like, we can.
Well, like I was just saying, people don't even realize that animals suffer, right? But animals suffer terribly. So if you leave them alone, then you're basically leaving them to rot, to burn, to get eaten
Yeah,
alive,
but
to starve to death.
animals can live without us. I think it's better they. I think it's better
So
to
you don't
leave
care if they
the.
suffer.
No, I do care, but
Well, it doesn't sound like it. You're saying, yeah, just let them suffer. That's the opposite of caring if they suffer.
no.
Yeah, that's the opposite. That's you're saying, yeah, let them suffer. So if you care about them suffering, then you would say, no, don't let them suffer.
I think animals can live by themselves. They have done so for years and years. So I think
But did you know that 99% of animals in nature get eaten alive as
yes, I
children?
know, I know.
So why would you support something so horrible as that? Are you a sadist? Do
No,
you
I'm
like
not.
animals having to suffer?
No, I'm not. But I don't think. I think it's better for humans to disappear. But I don't.
What's that got to do with animals? Why do you think
Wait,
animals should suffer?
can you let me finish?
No. Why do you
Okay.
think animals should suffer?
No, I don't think. Don't twist
You've just
my
said they
words.
should suffer, right? We should leave them alone to suffer. So
No.
why? Yes, stop lying. Tell the truth.
Well, I think
All right, you're done. You're finished. You're cooked.
no.
You're served. You're out of here. This is a common thing, actually, when having a debate and trying to get people to see reason. They will just start lying, basically. Chloe, hello. How you doing?
Hi, we have spoke before a couple of weeks ago, but I just had one question about what you were talking to the last person about.
Sure.
You said that, like, obviously you want to extinct everything to get rid of all the suffering.
Yeah.
But my question is, you said that's going to take years and we need to produce more humans to make it possible on a bigger scale.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you are supporting more lives and more suffering to get your end goal. So you're contradicting yourself.
And how else would you do it? What if that's the only way to do it?
Well, we could already do forceful extinction if we wanted to. Yes,
How?
we may not be able to do the whole
How can we do that,
universe.
Chloe? How can we do that?
Have you heard about all the nukes that all these countries have? Just flipping put the nukes all
last-
over the world.
last
Everything will be
asteroid-
dead.
The last asteroid had the power of 1 billion nukes. Didn't cause total extinction.
Yeah, but we
So
have.
you need to
like,
educate yourself, right? Don't come out just stating things like facts when you have no idea what you're talking about, right? And how are you going to cause total nuclear annihilation, Chloe?
No, not me personally,
That's
but we
your
have enough nukes
suggestion.
in the
That's your
world that we
suggestion.
could do
Look,
it.
these are your words, right? So this is your suggestion. Why don't you tell us why we should go with it? You
Why
have
we
no
should go
idea
with
what you're
what?
talking about, do you?
No, but
Exactly.
if you just try and see it from my point of view.
I'm trying.
Okay?
I'm
You're
asking you
like,
to explain it. You're not explaining it.
right. You want to forcefully extinct all life so that all the suffering ends. But you're saying in order to do that, we need to take all these years and we need to make more humans to make that possible, which means that you are supporting that people need to be made for them to suffer
Yeah,
so that we can have the total extinction.
You need to do a thorough animal extinction, right? So you would rush it, you would leave it to chance. That's not acceptable, right? We're trying to prevent billions of years of suffering. That's not something you should just leave to chance, right? And we should leave it to the science to decide what the correct way to do extinction is, not some random, uneducated person on TikTok suggesting we just nuke everything.
Okay.
Okay, Chloe, thank you for coming up. We're going to move on to the next guest when we have more people in the queue. But look, a lot of people really need to wind their neck in when it comes to this stuff, right? Just saying nukes are the way to do it, that's ignorant, right? You're saying that we shouldn't even remotely research if that would work. we should just use nukes without thinking. Like, that's the opposite of what we should do. So we need an intelligent extinction, a total extinction, a thorough extinction. Like, you have to consider that we have billions of years of extreme suffering to prevent, right? Rushing it is not the way to do it. So if you allow humanity to start declining in population now, to start potentially going extinct, or if you're supporting human extinction first, then you are risking it. You are leaving it to chance. You are risking the potential for human extinction before animal extinction, and therefore allowing animals to keep suffering. And as we've seen with most of our guests, unfortunately, they don't really care about animals. So that's the same with Chloe, the last guest we've just had. They don't actually care about the animals, which is why they only focus on human suffering and human extinction. So it's essentially discrimination, and the pro-extinction movement is completely anti-discrimination. So we are for the most fair and universal system possible, which explores moral obligation and tries to maximize it instead of hiding away from it, trying to rush it, and trying to not do a proper job, trying to leave some out and only do a half job for some and not for others. So we should work towards the most all-inclusive and the most preventative extinction possible. So, you know, a lot of people, again, would just rush it. They would just remove life, remove humans and hope nothing ever suffers ever again, or even remove the animals but not do prevention of life developing again. So they would rush it and risk, you know, extreme suffering. They would risk pure hell falling onto innocent animals, innocent victims. So that's irresponsible, it's unfair, it's unethical, it's discriminatory, essentially. It's saying, oh, no, I only care about human life now and today. I don't care about the future life, I don't care about animals, I don't care about doing a thorough job, I only care about today, right? So that's short-sighted thinking. It's not empathetic or responsible thinking. It's impatience, right? It's rushing it. It's not being bothered to think of a better way and the best way. It's not even caring about doing it in a proper way and the best way. It's literally just, I don't know. It's for people that can't think things through properly, who can't realize that we need to actually determine the best way to do extinction, right? So for some reason, everybody has this complete insanity going on where they think that we should guess the science instead of doing the science, right? So in the same way that if someone wants to cure cancer, you shouldn't be like, oh yeah, maybe we can use like antibiotics. You should be like, no, yeah, let's open a laboratory, let's get some scientists and we'll let them do some, you know, trials and experiments and come to a conclusion. So people, for some reason, think, no, we have to decide how universe-wide extinction is going to happen now. And it's like, well, why don't we get some scientists to look into it? And they're like, no, forget the scientists. We need to know now. So, you know, again, you wouldn't do that for the cure for cancer, and you shouldn't do it for extinction either. You should do it scientifically, intelligently, not rush to... Someone's in the chat saying, so you don't even have a plan. Yeah, we do have a plan. It's to do the science, right? To make that possible. It's literally, think of it as curing cancer, right? You would have to get support, get some scientists together, right? Start looking into it properly instead of saying, oh yeah, we're just going to nuke it, right? So, you know, this is like the most serious and urgent and morally urgent thing possible. It's the extreme suffering in the world, you know, children, people being tortured, animals being tortured. This isn't something that you can just rush and say, oh, you need a plan right now. No, it's about building a better system, a bigger system, a more intelligent system, right? These people just don't have the intelligence to think of doing extinction properly. So they either want nukes or they don't want the more intelligent option. That's it. Essentially, their low intelligence makes them afraid of thinking of a better way. So if it's not a nuke, right? If it's not like a meme or something, then they're not interested. So they're too impatient, too irresponsible for doing it properly. But yeah, thank you. It is a cool t-shirt. It arrived today, much earlier than anticipated. Hello, Brutus. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
So I had a question about the veganism part. Like, we don't support the fact that more forests are being built because more animals will live in there. And I was wondering if in that in that case, do you directly support deforestation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was my only question. And thank you. Also, I really like the shirt.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yep.
Cheers. Yeah, if anybody wants one, send me a message on TikTok and I'll try and get it sorted for you. We take PayPal. All right, moving on. We have plenty of guests in the queue now, so let's get some more debates going. All right, we've got Haley coming up next. Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I don't really understand some of your perspectives.
Okay.
How are you willing to fight against like suffering, but you are endorsing people to have children? Like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, well, we have to think about the whole picture. So, not having kids doesn't actually lead to extinction, especially not for animals. So we need a smarter solution, and that requires humanity continuing on to find the best solution instead of just rushing it and failing miserably, which is what antinatalism does.
Yeah, I don't really
So how is antinatalism going to help animals? Right, do you even have two brain cells to rub together? Okay, well, we tried. We tried with Haley. We tried. All right, hang on. Oh no, the sticker. Let's move that back. All right, moving on. We've got more people. We've got Phenomena coming up next. Hello, how you doing?
Yo, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Do you have any
First of
questions?
all, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Why not?
I mean, I know they're suffering, and that's like a last case solution
Why?
because there's still hope. Give me just 1% hope in humanity.
What kind of hope are you talking about? And we're
I
talking
don't
about
know.
animals and all life as well, not just humans.
We're still spiritually growing. It's not over. We've been through hell.
So
I
that's
think-
why we should allow animals to suffer. Look, think it through, okay? You're clearly not thinking it through even a little bit, right? Do animals deserve to suffer? The answer is no. Support total extinction to end animal suffering. It's the only way to do it and the only right way to do it. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Do you have any questions?
So I'm sorry for my English. It's my second language, so.
Okay.
So like, when it comes to suffering, do you think like rabbit suffers when lion kills them?
Yeah,
Why?
because of the pain and the fear, the distress.
But for them, like it's a normal thing.
How
Like,
do you know? Being eaten alive, it's not something that, happens every day to you. So why would you say it's a normal
for
thing?
rabbits, it happens.
Say again?
So like,
What's that?
yeah. Say.
What?
For example, if someone suffers, and then you gave them like bread or something, like, they will be
Zebra,
happy.
you're going to give bread to the zebra now, after it's dead.
No. So like, for
We've
example,
moved on to a different subject now. We're forgetting about the zebra.
So like, for example, if someone suffers and you gave them food,
What happened to the
they're
zebra?
happy.
What happened to the zebra? Hang on, I've
It
got one
wasn't zebra,
actually.
it was rabbit.
I've got one. All right. So yeah, what's going on with the zebra?
So he eaten alive. So he
Yeah.
suffers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would you want to be eaten alive?
No, but
So
like
so why do you think they should be eaten alive?
for zebra, it's a normal thing to
What do you mean?
being eaten alive.
Do you think so when a zebra gets eaten alive, he thinks, oh, this is normal, so it's okay. Is that what you think?
So like, what's his purpose to live then?
No. So you're saying it's normal for him. So why would that make it okay? You know, if somebody has a slave and that's normal for him to own a slave, does that make it okay? Well, it's normal. He's done that his whole life. He's always owned slaves.
It's normal for him, yeah.
So it's okay. So it's okay. So if I
it's
abuse
normal.
animals every day, then if it's normal for me to do that, then it's okay.
So if he's a slave,
What the hell are you talking about?
from like born, and he's a slave his entire life, he does not know that he actually can be free.
Okay, so this guy says you can have a slave as long as they don't think there's any chance of freedom. So, like, you know, tell them that you'll slit their throat or something if they try to escape, so they think there's no chance of freedom. And suddenly, having slaves is ethical, according to that guy, right? As long as they think there's no chance of escape, then slavery is now slavery plus, right? Now, he's found the solution to make slavery ethical. So, what is wrong with people like this? Okay, moving on. We've got Shaggy X4 joining us. Hello, Shaggy.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. I feel like when somebody disagrees with you, you just kick them out instead of trying to explain to them like
They're beyond help.
What?
Beyond help.
they're beyond help. Okay. So I think that animals, for them, the only thing they want is to survive, and like
Do most of them survive? That's like
no,
saying, well, I want to win the lottery, so I'm not going to win the lottery. What's it got to do with anything?
like you're going against their wishes basically because
So let's get this straight. They want to live, and most of them are going to die as babies in a horrific way. So why are you suggesting that they want to live is why we should let them die horrifically?
I'm not saying that we should let them die horrifically. Like,
Really?
of course not.
Are
Like,
you sure?
yes, I'm very sure.
Okay, so you think we should do total extinction then?
Like, I feel like there's other things that,
Okay,
like,
like what?
total extinction is like, how are you gonna get everybody to agree with you? Like, I feel like it's very
Well, no,
unreasonable.
you said that there's a better way to do it, right? So that wasn't your problem. Your main problem was that there's a better way to do it, right? So if that's true, then we'll support it. So just let us know what it is.
Like, instead of like trying to extinct everyone, I feel like you should more advocate and like
For what?
go against
Just
the things
advocate. Just advocate.
like I don't know how to do it either, but
Just advocate.
I don't feel like
that not
let me
what I'm doing now?
explain.
That's what I'm doing now.
You're not doing it though.
Doing what? Yeah, I'm advocating for total extinction. I'm advocating for people to grow the movement until we have
But,
enough people to do it.
Like, it's not realistic. Like,
Why not?
nobody's gonna put you in power to actually do that.
Okay, well, you say that, but the sufferers and the victims need us to do it, right? So this is not some like fringe idea, right? The sufferers need us to do this, and billions and countless victims are relying on us. So the movement is growing globally every day, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger, and the need for it is never going to go away.
But like, also, I feel like you should maybe start small instead of going for such an extreme and big idea.
But why shouldn't we support the end of all suffering, right? We should speak for every victim. We should speak for the right thing, which is for life not to be forced into extreme suffering, right? So what you would have us, focus on one group and discriminate, basically, and just leave
No,
everyone else out. Focus
of
on a
course
small
not, but
group. I'm not hearing many brain cells rubbing together here.
that's not very nice.
Maybe jump up and down a bit. It might get them going.
Oh, thank you. So also for a lot of people, happiness and like living is greater than all that suffering, and that's why they don't they wouldn't agree with this as well.
But the thing is that logic basically supports infinite cruelty. That you're saying as long as one person is happy, it doesn't matter if everyone else is suffering terribly. See? And everyone should take note of that, actually. So this is one of the main fallacies that people are making without realizing it. So this is essentially intrinsic to the normal human mentality, right? The 1.0, the pro-life, the normal human mind is essentially built on this incorrect, irrational logic. No, I'm not joking. This is actually true.
No, sorry, I was not
the same
laughing
thing
at
that
what you were
everyone
saying.
else does, where they say, well, as long as someone's happy, right? They say, well, what about the happy people? So it's saying like, as long as at least one person is happy, it doesn't matter if everyone else is suffering. But you see, even if it is just a few people, right? And everyone else is suffering, those few people are going to keep reproducing and causing more suffering, or they're going to suffer themselves. And they're not really able to consent to the actual suffering that they can fall victim to, right? Firstly, when everyone's born, they never consented to the risk of suffering that they're in. And most people never realize the actual full extent of it either. And that's why they end up falling victim to, being trapped in lives of hell, suffering terribly to where you'd be better off not being born, because they're completely blind to it, right? And they don't care about it. They're not able to think about it in a responsible way. So that's why we can't let people choose to live. We have to do mandatory total extinction.
And you're gonna do it even to the people that disagree?
Well, yeah, exactly. But look, in the same way that animals won't agree to it, even if they're dying in pain, right? Humans won't agree to it, even if it is the right thing, because they're not able to think past their animalistic nature and their fear of death and their survival instincts. And they're not able, so they've got the massive fear of death, and then they're completely unable to think about the actual reality of the risk of extreme suffering that they're in. So, it's a perfect storm which puts people into the position of making the wrong decision, choosing to continue to live when actually that's not the rational thing to do. The rational thing to do is to favor the safety of non-existence over the infinite danger of existence. And, there's really no limit to how bad that can be. You can break the world record tomorrow for the worst life ever lived, the most pain ever experienced for the longest duration. Right. So, people aren't thinking about that. And, usually they think, well, it probably won't happen to me. And if it does happen to someone else, then who cares? So they're not thinking about it in a responsible way. And if you let them do that, then many of them will end up suffering in an unacceptable way. So we care about them too much to allow them. And it's also not logically and ethically the right thing to do, to allow them to essentially take a risk that they're not able to understand, because they will end up suffering terribly. They will end up in a situation where they would have been better off not being born because of just, excruciating, inescapable, hell-like levels of suffering and pain. And you can say, oh, that never happens to anyone. Well, yeah, it does. People are just very ignorant of it. It's happening all around us every day. And people are just blind to it. They ignore it. And that's part of the problem.
And also, are you willing to also die? Like, are you willing to let go of your like life and like I know you have a girlfriend and all these happy things in your life?
Yeah, I mean, we're willing to, go along with the total extinction. Yeah.
So you as well.
Yeah, but there's a strong chance that it's not going to happen in our lifetimes, but we're building up the
Oh,
foundations
okay.
to allow it to happen, right? It's most likely going to be a multi-generational project, which is why we're against antinatalism, because that essentially makes a universal or a fair extinction, one which includes animals, it makes that impossible.
But if we were like only humans were to disappear,
Then animals would suffer terribly.
but like
What?
that's kind of the nature of life, I guess. No?
But why does that make it okay?
But who are you to choose to go against it?
Against what? Nature?
I guess, yeah.
Well, why? Well, everyone goes against nature every day, right? You probably go against nature all the time.
I do, true.
So, who cares
Okay,
about
yes,
nature?
I got it. That's true. Um, but I feel like also because it takes such a long amount of time, like it would be better to start small and help now, the people that are suffering.
What? So we should get a machete and go out, or what?
No, like
Like what?
go against the things that make people suffer
So,
and animals suffer.
right, but life existing is what makes them suffer, and essentially, you're advocating for reducing suffering, which is basically like reducing slavery instead of ending it. So we need to say that slavery and suffering is unacceptable, and not that we should start small with slavery and suffering, that we should maybe reduce slavery and suffering just a little bit, right? No, we have to say that slavery, suffering, they're completely unacceptable, right? Or would you say that why start so big with the idea of ending slavery? No, let's start with like pillows for the slaves, and then maybe some cushions as well. Maybe Coca-Cola for the slaves. No. Right. So just imagine the word suffering being slavery, and then try and say why should we end slavery, right? Okay, Shaggy, it sounds like the brain cells have finally stopped clicking together, so we're going to move on. We've got more people coming up. We have Nocturnal Aqua. Hello, how you doing?
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Fellow anti-natalist and pro-deather here. I was just trying to hear what you were saying. Are you saying forceful total extinction of all life is the only right thing to do as it ends all suffering, as opposed to anti-natalism? Why? I missed when you said that part. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, antinatalism doesn't actually lead to extinction of anything, because life has evolved to just keep reproducing. So the antinatalist will go extinct, and the ones that like to keep reproducing will be fortified in the gene pool and will just carry on forever. And they'll laugh at those that left them to it.
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of like where anti-natalism kind of has a flaw in like resetting humanity.
Yeah.
Why do you think we have to like extinct all life though?
So we have to use force to defend the victims of suffering, otherwise force will be used on them to make them suffer. So we have to do forceful extinction, otherwise there will be forceful reproduction and extreme suffering.
Well, you're saying total extinction of all life. I'm talking about like why do animals have to be involved in this?
Because they suffer in an unacceptable way as well.
Under humanity or with each other?
Both but especially just in nature. That's where most animals live and suffer with the worst conditions. I mean, even farmed animals have better conditions.
No, I agree, actually. Is this like a philosophy? Can I read more about it?
It's a movement. It's an ideology. We're actually working to make total extinction happen. We're growing the movement to get enough people to carry it out. You can read our website, proextinction.com. The link's on my profile. We've got a manifesto, FAQ. We've got a Discord, WhatsApp group. We've got dozens, almost 100 people now making videos to try and grow the movement on various platforms, doing debate streams like I am. Going out into the street, doing protests there, interviews. So the movement's been growing quite a lot over the last couple of years, and it's very ambitious, and we want to grow as much as we can.
Yeah, because I think antinatalism is the answer to like oppression, right? Like they can't use us for cannon fodder if they don't exist. But like you said, there's a loophole that not everybody would be antinatalist. So
so we need active solutions instead of passive
exactly,
solutions, basically.
exactly. All right, I'm gonna check you guys out. Thanks for the conversation.
All right, great. Thank you for coming up. And for everyone watching, that's how you have a conversation, right? That's how you have a good conversation. So, try and be polite, and I promise I will try to be polite as well. Arguably, I could try to be more polite sometimes. But, you know what? We're all doing our best. Hello, how you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I guess my first question would be, how did you start your movement? Like, how did the idea come about?
I didn't start the movement. It was started about 4 years ago. I joined 1 year ago. But the person who did start the movement, he was an animal rescuer. So he was rescuing animals that, were injured and needed help, and he was, nursing them back to health. But he realized that it was just going to keep happening forever, for the rest of time, that there would be horrific animal suffering just going on over and over again. And he was seeing just how bad the suffering was, how intense it was, and, how many babies and children and even, fully mature animals were living a life of pure hell, just pure suffering, where they'd be better off not being born. And he realized that actually extinction is the answer. Life shouldn't exist. It's not safe for life to exist. It's not fair. It's not right. And all it's doing is causing extreme harm and trapping innocents into lives of hell. And the right thing to do is to protect them from that at all costs.
Okay, but a lot of people say that there's like beauty in life, like in nature, and then like birth, and then like
but there's no there's no moral consideration there, though, right? It's not like a serious kind of opinion about whether or not suffering is acceptable.
What do you mean by acceptable? Like we shouldn't just go on about our days like while other people are dying and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I mean that's the problem, is that people have been indoctrinated by society into thinking that we should just ignore and allow all of the suffering in the world, that it's acceptable, that our life is worth it somehow, that someone suffering terribly, it's okay as long as I have a good life. So it's a dynamic of exploitation, unfairness, cruelty, and allowing and causing and ignoring extreme suffering so that we can benefit, right? And so essentially we've ended up in this bubble, this fantasy world where everything's okay, there's no problems, the world is fine, when actually the reality, the truth is that the world is full of victims being tortured horrifically, humans living through lives of pure hell, begging for death, animals being tortured by sadists, 99% of animals in nature being eaten alive as babies. I mean, if you saw a human baby get eaten alive, you'd be horrified. And it's just as bad for animals as well. So, imagine 99% of humans getting eaten alive as babies. Well, that's what's happening to animals. And yet we've been indoctrinated into thinking that we should ignore it, that it's okay, that that's just the way it is. But these are all forms of justifying cruelty, like in the same way that you would justify slavery, saying that, oh, the slaves don't feel that much pain. They're not as conscious as us. Think of all the joy that we get from the money that we make from slavery. So you hear basically the same arguments when it comes to suffering and life existing. And it's defending life is like defending slavery, basically.
Okay, well, I can totally see your perspective, but I also want to say, like, in a practical, like, you're coming from a practical, logical point of view. How are we going to get this done? Like, how does one actually kill everything on Earth?
Yeah, so we're growing the movement, getting people around the world agreeing to help us make it happen. We've got thousands of supporters now. We've got over 100 activists, and we're growing as fast as we can. We're ambitious. We're getting into loads of things. We've got podcasts. We've got street protests every weekend around the world. So we're growing quickly, and it's a very unifying cause, right? It's all suffering. Every victim, every species, nobody should suffer anything anymore. Whereas everybody else is saying, yeah, the suffering should continue. But we actually care for every last victim, every last individual, and we will never stop until there is no suffering, absolute zero. We will never give up on any victim and say, we can't be bothered to help them. So we will help every single last individual, including all of those in the future, right, by preventing their extreme suffering.
I mean, I'm not saying that I'm necessarily a supporter, right? I'm just here, trying to like pick your brain, I guess, and stuff
okay.
like that. But okay, I guess I don't really have any more questions.
Yeah, the main thing is about extreme suffering being unacceptable, right? So for most people, it is acceptable, right? Children being, violently raped to death, animals being tortured to death. For most people, this is acceptable. Whereas for extinctionists, it's unacceptable. And so we can't allow it to continue.
I mean, I think for me personally, it's just kind of comforting to know that people like you, like this movement exists. It just feels like a sigh of relief. It's like, okay, there are people who do like kind of see what's going on all around us, and it's not like
Yeah, the
we're all
victims are
just
ignored
walking
right now.
around.
The victims are completely ignored.
Right.
People are encouraged to ignore the victims, to just have an out of sight, out of mind mentality. And this just allows just infinite extreme suffering, basically. So we have the most animalistic mentality possible right now. We need to upgrade, stop being animals and start being intelligent, caring, rational, empathetic beings, right? Upgrade to humanity 2.0 with extinctionism.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna go. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming up. Consider checking our website, proextinction.com. It's not about hatred. It's not about anger. It's not about violence. Instead, it's about compassion, love, caring for every last individual in the world, and considering if their suffering is acceptable, if their conditions are okay, what we should do for the world, how things should be run. So most people don't want to, care about the world, don't want to get involved in the ethics of it. Whereas extinctionists are people that have said, the world is unacceptable, I have to do something, right? Most people will never do that. And we've come to the conclusion that the end of all suffering is the right thing and the most important thing. Jill, hello, how you doing?
Hi, good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm just trying to understand, is this
It's a social justice movement.
Okay. And is it something that would happen physically?
Yeah.
On purpose?
Yes.
By a massive amount of people that would potentially be a part of a group?
We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but
Okay.
we have to be prepared to do whatever's necessary, whatever's the best way to do extinction. But essentially, we would start by, and we are doing it, so we're growing the movement with peaceful activism until we have enough people to take over the world, start to run it ethically, which needs to happen anyway. It's being run by billionaires and warlords. And then we would start with animal extinction and researching the most advanced extinctionism that we can do, like the best prevention of life ever developing, making sure we get every last individual. So not rushing it, but instead being as thorough as possible. And that is going to require humans continuing to reproduce, right? If humanity went extinct tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to help animals. And in fact, the more humans we have at the minute, temporarily, we should keep reproducing so that we can do animal extinction sooner. The more people, the better for it.
Why do you think that don't you think that the cause of suffering is just the conception of like the opposite of happiness, which would be like consciousness, which would be a human experience, right?
No, you're not. You're thinking about it in like a romantic sense. You're not thinking about the extreme suffering in the world.
But extreme suffering in the world. So, is there extreme suffering elsewhere? Are we talking about other planets? Are we talking about alien life? I mean,
yeah. So we should research and try to do universe-wide extinction if we can. And especially when you consider that we might be able to just pass that on to AI, and it can just do it for us, continue on for billions of years after us. So there's no reason to necessarily shut that door. It does need researching instead of just not considering at all. So in that sense,
sorry, my box keeps lighting up. Am I like echoing, or is there there's a loud ass bird next to me? Sorry. Yeah. Is it really loud? I'm sorry.
It's pretty loud.
Yeah, I'll move.
So yeah, do you have any more questions?
I would love to extinct that bird. Just kidding. No, I do. Yes, I would like to continue talking. So, okay. So, do you think that there's like existence or life, quote unquote, that has consciousness out there that's not on terraform, that's not living on Earth, that doesn't feel this way, that doesn't actually experience suffering?
Well, yeah. I mean, so we've looked into it, and according to our science, there will actually probably be lots of life in the universe, similar to Earth, with animals basically killing each other and suffering terribly for billions of years. But in terms of life that doesn't suffer, there could be single-celled organisms out there, bacteria and stuff like that. But the problem is that the natural path of evolution is towards more and more suffering, essentially. And we see that on Earth, essentially, where the more complex life gets, the more it suffers, basically.
Do you think that, but okay, single cell organisms, sure. But you don't think that there's anything above our life form, or in terms of human, consciousness, or like how we even deem or define suffering, right? So we're defining it as a human, as the human experience. So we are defining something as bad and suffering, right? That is our human experience. So I'm wondering,
I mean, we know that when someone abuses an animal, that it is a bad thing.
but these are all very.
So you don't know whether or not to support banning animal
abuse. But we have defined things, and we have created these like
so
versions
you're on
of
the fence about whether animal abuse is bad or not.
No, absolutely not. But I'm trying to understand. Okay. I'm on the fence about complete extinction. Okay, based off of your definition.
Nature does worse abuse to animals than people do.
Well, I'm going off of what your solution is.
Right. What do you mean?
Your solution is complete extinction of all life based off of suffering that happens. Yeah. But I'm asking, what do you define as suffering? I mean, because obviously suffering is going to happen, but also suffering is a byproduct of existence and life in general. So we also choose, I believe, you don't have to believe this, but I believe that like we choose to come here as a human experience. Like there's a higher consciousness. So do you not believe in like
should be allowed?
I'm not talking about animal abuse.
Okay, well, what about extreme? So cruelty should be allowed.
I think.
Right?
I feel like
So
you're
look, total
avoiding what I'm
extinction.
asking.
Look, total extinction makes child abuse impossible, animal abuse impossible, lives of hell impossible for everyone. So you think that, you know, awful, the worst thing possible, the ultimate harm should be allowed.
So do you think that all, like, everything that happens as a human existence, like, you're basically saying like the cons outweigh the pros, is what you're saying?
Well, do you not think, you know, children being like abused to death and then murdered, you know, kind of outweighs, like, is your life worth that, right? You know, how many children would you say is too many to be abused to death for your life to be worth it? You're
But
saying
if
like, well,
that,
we don't
but
know. Do the pros outweigh the cons? You know, is it worth the child abuse?
I understand what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. I'm trying to understand the philosophy of it because I'm
Yeah.
trying to also
So,
think about like a
well,
higher
yeah,
consciousness
yeah.
too,
So
and also think about like,
our
you know,
position is
how,
that no amount of
like
happiness can
we, like
justify
us as
suffering.
humans thinking that like we define all life, like we kind of don't, and we
We
actually
do.
only
So
have a,
you're
like,
basically
I think it's
advocating
actually
for not
very like,
thinking. You're
I think it's actually
advocating for
very
not thinking.
like egotistical, and like we're
You're
like we think
advocating for
we
not
think,
thinking, Jel.
but we
You're
think
saying we
that we
shouldn't use
are
our
on the,
brains. You're
sorry?
saying we shouldn't use our brains. You're advocating for not
I don't
thinking.
think that humans are the top of the consciousness of the entire universe. No, and I don't think that the quote unquote suffering, or the definition of suffering as you
So,
want to define it,
so you don't think
is like,
extreme suffering is unacceptable then?
I think it is unacceptable. But I do. Do you not believe in evolution?
So you accept it.
Of course, I don't accept it, but I accept
So
it as a human.
in what way do you not accept it then? So you're not doing anything to stop it. You're saying we shouldn't stop it,
I do a
and you're
lot of things
also
to
saying
stop it.
you
Absolutely, every
so,
day.
so no. So we're trying to make all suffering impossible because it is unacceptable. You're saying we shouldn't
I'm
do
trying
that.
to ask you what you think suffering is, and you're not answering me. You're getting upset.
Why do we need to define suffering? Right? We know what terrible
Because you
suffering
think
is.
that you define suffering, and you think that you should end
You're
all
playing
life
word games. You're
based off
playing
of your
definition games
definition.
now. You're playing definition games. You're playing word games.
Yes, because that is what humans do, and that's what
Yes,
you are
that's not a
doing.
good thing. So you're cooked, you're served. You're playing word games. It's for stupid people. And she goes, yeah, I am playing stupid word games. Well, then why are you wasting our time with that? All right, moving on. We've got 1 million people in the queue. So let's get some more up. So, yeah, unfortunately, like, you know, you take people seriously, you try to be patient with them, and you end up seeing that, like, they're actually just completely insane, basically. So, you know, you don't always get rewarded for your patience, basically, right? And, you know, people say, oh, James, why do you always kick these people? Don't kick them, don't kick them. Because they're, like, completely insane, right? You know, they are potentially a waste of time. You know, we should try and get some more interesting people on. Okay, moving on to our next guest. Moving on, we have N8S. Let's try and get them up. Hello, how you doing?
What's up, bro? Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
You're not suffering?
We're all suffering in our own way.
What if there is a hell?
We're in it.
Like, what if literally there's a hell, like a biblical hell?
Well, then total extinction would make sure that there's no more victims sent to hell ever again.
What if everybody goes to hell because they didn't accept Jesus? I mean, seriously, what if everybody goes to hell? What if all souls go to hell?
Look, I think you need some sort of psychiatry there, right? You've become obsessed with some sort of horror book called the Bible or something, and you actually thought it was real. Okay, moving on. Kronos, hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, what's good?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Like, is my voice muffled?
It's okay.
Okay. Before we start, I want to hear your viewpoint, and I'm gonna tell you my viewpoint.
I'm listening.
No, I said you're gonna tell me yours first.
Oh, I wasn't listening. Yeah, so extreme suffering is unacceptable, and we shouldn't allow it anymore. We should end it with extinction.
Yeah, but you realize that biology programmed you basically to live.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, like, there is suffering in the world, it's fucking necessary to continue the cycle of life and rebirth. What's that on your shirt?
We don't need that though. All it does is cause harm. Unacceptable, extreme suffering.
Yeah, but as society advances more, you're gonna fucking mitigate these damages as much as you can.
Right, but you shouldn't mitigate slavery.
slaves-
Right, imagine mitigating slavery though. Right, you should end slavery and you should end extreme torture as well. So, like for example, think of it this way. Think of it this way. If I had two choices, right? I could either stop existing now, or I could keep existing at the expense of some innocent person being sent to hell to be tortured, right? Hopefully, you'd agree that our life isn't that important to where we need to exist so bad.
No, I can't hear you.
Okay, is that better?
Can you repeat that?
I can. Yeah. So if somebody has to be tortured so that you can exist, it's not really the right thing, is it? So it doesn't make it right just because it's other people.
Okay, but like, how many thousands of people are living happy, fulfilled lives for every person that's tortured?
Yeah, but you're saying that it basically. I mean, the thing is, like, what kind of system is that to go on? You're saying like, as long as it's not too many, then we don't have to care, basically.
It's not we don't have to care. It's not an acceptable thing. It's a non-negotiable thing. You can't change it.
Why not?
Because if you want to change it, you have to fucking cause a lot more suffering to get that done. While in the meantime, you could have.
But why would it cause more suffering than what it prevents, though?
It doesn't. But
exactly
for every person that's suffering,
then what are you talking about?
100 that are happy and living fulfilled lives.
Well, did you know that over 99% of animals born in nature get eaten alive as babies? Right.
Your voice is bugging out again.
Right. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat if my sound is lagging or anything.
No, I'm across the sea.
Okay.
Right.
So you're basically saying that as long as most of the population is happy, then it doesn't matter if the minority suffers, right? So that's like you're supporting exploitation, cruelty, selfishness.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying it's non-negotiable. It's not a thing that you can change without going very drastic measures that'll decrease the quality of life.
But the suffering is drastic. The suffering is drastic. So we need drastic measures.
Yeah,
so
but
why should we be afraid of drastic? Why should we be afraid of drastic measures?
The suffering is drastic for such a small amount of the populace that
it's not a small amount, right? Over 99% of the population gets eaten alive as a baby. And why does it being a small amount make it okay?
Okay, I just want to say this because I was in your live earlier. You can't equate the life of a slave to the life of an animal.
Why not? There's lots of animal slaves.
A slave can process emotions. A slave wants freedom. An animal only knows to survive. And if it doesn't...
These aren't sounding like good reasons for why we shouldn't be suffering.
Let me just say this.
No.
Imagine a world where nothing...
No, we're bored. We're bored, Kronos, okay? These are terrible arguments. Okay, moving on. We have tons of more people. Let's get Joe, potentially. We've got Zaki in the queue. All right, bringing up Zaki next. Hello, how you doing?
Oh, hi, James. I just wanted to praise you for the work that you do. I was every single day I wake up and I suffer. Maybe I stub my toe or something. And every single day I just watch your videos and it brings me hope that maybe one day we can end all the suffering and it will all be gone for good.
That's it. That's what we like to hear.
I appreciate you so much, though. I just came in here to give you some praise. The very existence of suffering is we can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you for coming up, Zaki. Appreciate the support. Okay, moving on. We've got who else? We've got Craft Catastrophe coming up next. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to the extinction zone. Okay. Hello? Last chance? No, sorry, your audio is completely inaudible. Couldn't make out a single word. Okay, moving on. Do I have to donate to show up on the queue? No. Most people don't, unfortunately. Hello, how you doing?
Hello?
Yeah, hi. Do you have any questions?
Hey. Yeah, okay, so do you believe that suffering is like okay? You said no, right? Like it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Why is it not acceptable?
It's the ultimate harm, right? It's the worst thing possible. So if anything's going to be unacceptable, then the worst thing that you could possibly do to a life form should obviously be unacceptable.
It's what's the I can't think of the word, but it's not really like your choosing or like my choosing to determine whether something is good or bad.
Why not?
Like nothing is inherently good or bad.
So child abuse isn't bad.
It's a yin and yang, bro.
So child abuse isn't bad.
It exists. No, it's not good or bad.
So child abuse isn't bad. There you go. We have another one today, everyone. There's another one. Child abuse isn't bad.
It's not good.
People say this doesn't exist. Well, you get used to it. They're right here. They do exist. This guy says child abuse is not bad.
Okay, if you want to straw man and not like listen to the argument, that's cool.
That's what you said, though, right?
But no, that's not what I said. That's what
you said. It's not good or bad.
Yes, it's not good or bad.
So it's not bad.
Nothing. It's neutral.
So child abuse is not bad.
Good and bad exists because of humans.
Got it. Well, so yeah, take an amazing lesson today, everyone. Child abuse is not bad. You heard it here on the Extinction Zone. But the truth is actually that child abuse is bad, right? All abuse is bad. All extreme suffering is not just bad, but unacceptable. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Do you have any questions?
Not necessarily questions, just more, I guess, debates, since that's kind of what you're looking for anyway. So I have a few points that I think are valid in making. One of them is what you want is already a thing.
I don't think so, right?
It is.
Life exists, so no, total extinction is not already a thing.
Right, okay, let's put it this way. It's not happening within the snap of a finger, but if you look at what we eat and what we drink, it's already slowly killing everybody.
No.
At least here in America.
You're dreaming, dude. You're dreaming, right?
But also,
you're dreaming.
Even if that's delusion, sure, we can keep it at that. The other thing is you are talking from a standpoint of which you believe your ideals to be absolute. No. However, if your ideals
you're welcome to challenge them. You're welcome to challenge them.
So, but that's the thing is you are inherently trying to say that, hey, my ideals are absolute. However, if you don't think they are, if you don't think they are, then challenge it.
All I'm saying is that child abuse is unacceptable. What do you think?
It is. It is unacceptable.
Okay. So there you go. So you're doing the same thing as we are.
So here's the thing, right? You claim you want it to be a generational thing, right? The thing is, what you're endeavoring to do would never come to fruition.
Why not?
Because most people would hear the term mass extinction and think, well, that sounds like terrorism.
Well, yeah. Look, we have a lot of problems to solve, a lot of obstacles, but we are working on them.
Okay, but also my other point is, if you believe your life is not worth somebody else's suffering, why are you still breathing right now?
So that we can end not just our own suffering, but all suffering.
Right, but if you believe in your own personal absolute ideals, I didn't quote-unquote absolute.
Do you not get the idea of helping others? No.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So we should only help ourselves and leave everyone else to rot. That's what you think.
No. Wouldn't you be helping somebody else by not existing? That's what your
does
ideals
that
have
work
been
towards
pointing
ending
out.
all? Does that work towards ending all suffering?
And it works towards ending somebody's suffering, does it not? According to you.
You're not answering my question. Did you not hear it?
I mean, no, I heard it, but I'm just saying, if you're going to generalize,
you're still not answering the question.
Okay, fine, I'll answer it. No, it doesn't. But if you're going to generalize,
wow, that was hard.
If you're going to generalize, right? Yeah. Why go through the mental loops to generalize when you could simply?
Right, this guy's a philosophy bro. Philosophy has rotted his brain, right? You could tell from the slurred speech, the terrible thoughts coming out of his head. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. So for your last conversation, you said like, oh, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry, I've never been on live before, so sorry.
All right.
I kind of forgot. But what I will say is, I agree with you in the sense that it's not bad to say like fuck life, like life sucks, you know. But I feel that you not giving a concrete definition of what suffering is.
We don't need one. Right? We know terrible suffering exists, right? Just forget the word suffering and just replace it with bad lives, right? Or a life not worth living where you would have been better off not existing, right? Just use your imagination a bit. You can fill in the gaps. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, you can, but you would have to phrase that as such, right? Because
most people know what we mean when we say suffering.
But suffering is subjective.
Well, we're talking about all suffering, so there's really no need to, define different types within it. We're talking about all suffering.
Okay, that's fair.
But you have to include all of the unacceptable and extreme suffering within that.
Right. Okay. So do you think that suffering is the only moral value that should be considered?
I would say it has infinite moral value over happiness and life existing, which is unnecessary. You can do without it. It's just a privilege, basically. Whereas safety from extreme suffering is not some sort of privilege, right? It's a necessity, an essential. And if you don't have it, then the worst thing possible happens. Whereas if you stop existing, nothing bad happens, really.
Right.
Or nothing significantly bad happens.
Right. But okay, so let's say everyone goes extinct, right? Doesn't that take away there's no one to reap the rewards from not suffering? There just wouldn't be suffering. So think of it
as closing down hell, right? You wouldn't want someone to still be in hell after you've shut it down so that they can reap the rewards.
Yeah, but right? then that presumes that there is a heaven or something better than hell.
No.
It's
an analogy, right?
Right, but to use that analogy, you would have to presume that there's something that's.
The point is, it's not safe for life to exist, right? So life shouldn't exist.
But life doesn't have to necessitate safety. Life, that's not what life is.
No, so life shouldn't exist without certainty of safety, right? Because then it's in infinite danger and it will just end up suffering terribly.
But beings suffer differently. A lot of beings
But you're just trying to defend suffering, like to excuse it. That's like a slave owner saying, well, my slaves, they suffer differently.
Well, no, because what I'm saying, I'm speaking for at least conscious beings, because the way conscious beings perceive suffering is a lot of people.
Well, the way my slaves perceive suffering is however I tell them to perceive it, right? So if I tell them, the whipping and the caning, you're not actually suffering, then they'll believe it, right?
But like people come to that conclusion on their own, not from someone else indoctrinating them to do so.
No. So you're living in philosophy la la land, right? Look, babies and animals, they don't come to conclusions about suffering, right? They just suffer terribly, and yet they die horribly.
But like you're like speaking in an absolute sense, but that's
what does that mean? What are you talking about? Stop using these. Look, philosophy has rotted your brain into using these terms that don't mean anything and abstract you away from actual proper talk.
I don't even engage in philosophy. I feel like this is like obvious.
What absolute terms are you talking about, right?
Because you're saying that babies are born and they suffer and they just die, but that's not true for every baby. Like babies, like a lot of babies just don't like. There's a level of.
But it does happen. What are you talking about? Of course it happens.
Not like.
Of course it happens. How can you deny it happens?
And this is why I'm not denying that it happens. I'm saying it doesn't happen for every single being.
So it would have to be every single. So basically, your morality is that unless every single being is being tortured, then extinction is wrong. So as long as one person is happy, then infinite people can be being tortured.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, you said it's not every single baby. So it doesn't matter. You're saying it doesn't matter unless it's every baby, right?
But you're saying it's every single baby.
I never said that.
That's exactly what you said. You said,
well, then you're cooked and served. You're finished. You're out of here, right? Because I definitely never said that. So, he's got him desperate. Philosophy has rotted his brain. Now he's lying about what I said. And actually, he's using the classic straw man, which everybody uses. So to some extent, we can't blame him too much, right? He didn't intentionally straw man. Everybody makes this weird psychological, very common mistake where he said, you said all life is suffering, or every baby is suffering terribly. No, I never said that. I never say that. And yet everybody accuses me of saying that, right? So watch out for people saying, so you think all life is suffering? You think all babies are being abused? Like, you want me to say that so that you can argue against that irrational position, right? Because it would be irrational to say all babies are being abused. Right, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying something much more rational than that, which is that no babies should be abused, right? That it's unacceptable, and you can see that whereas we're saying no babies being abused or no life having to suffer terribly is acceptable. His position and most humans' position. I was actually explaining this at the start of the stream. If anybody was here and still remembers, most humans have the same inbuilt irrational sort of understanding, right? A principle almost that doesn't even make sense. So these are common human psychological traits, basically, and they are results of brain structure, evolution, and they are commonalities. So people have the same irrational. So essentially, the human mind is. The operating system literally depends on completely irrational understandings and beliefs, such as suffering is acceptable. It doesn't matter unless it's every baby being tortured, right? So that's another really common one that everybody will say. They will say, yeah, but it's not every baby being tortured. It's not every animal. So, by that logic, right, they are essentially directly admitting that, without realizing it, that they will only support, a completely black and white thing where there's no nuance, right? So they will support infinite suffering as long as one person is happy, right? And they will say, so if everybody is being tortured and one person is happy and we say, what should we end this suffering? They would say, well, it's not everybody. So that mentality allows for infinite suffering, infinite torture, and, basically everybody could be screaming and begging for help and they'd still say, yeah, but it's not everybody. And it's like, oh my God, what? So it has to be every single person being tortured before you'll care about torture being bad. Basically, it has to be you, right? So everyone else can be being tortured, suffering through a bad life. And as long as it's not you, then you'll say, but it's not everybody. Hey. So, it's basically the ultimate lack of morality, right? It shows that humans are fundamentally as immoral as possible, basically, right? So we are essentially living in hell, and trying to make it make sense, right? That's what people are doing. They're using coping mechanisms. So you really do have to imagine, again, I'm an atheist, but we can imagine, right? So imagine that we are all in hell right now, and some people are trying to cope with it, right? They're like, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Everything will be fine. I just don't have to think about tomorrow, just think about today. But they've all got like ticking time bombs before they get trapped into a life of extreme suffering and start begging for death, basically. And they don't want to admit it. They'd rather just cope and lie to themselves and ignore it when it happens to everyone else. So 99% of life on this planet is being eaten alive as a baby. Lots of humans are living lives of pure hell right now. And, so many people say like, if you poll the planet, if you ask most people would say, yeah, I'm happy to live, right? But that's the survivors, right? How many babies, children, people have died, committed suicide, right? So you're literally asking the survivors and then saying, look, everyone's happy. So it's just like a massive circus of just finding reasons to ignore the sufferers, to justify their suffering, to just ignore it and allow it, just any excuse. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? I just kind of like have some questions about like how you want to go about this.
Okay.
Are you pro-abortion?
No, we're pro-extinction. So we're not going to reach that by abortion or through not having kids. We need an active solution, a universal solution, basically. So
do you have like a plan for like how are we killing everyone? Who's going to be the last person on Earth?
Yeah, so we grow the movement with peaceful activism until we have enough people to take over the world, start to run it ethically, which needs to happen anyway. Then we start with animals. So extinctionism is actually about ethics maxing, basically. So it's
that's
about
awesome.
It's about maximizing ethics, running the world in the most ethical way possible.
So would that just be killing everyone?
No. So we would need society to keep running as ethically as possible, but while we do animal extinction. So to that end, we need humanity to keep reproducing until we've helped those that can't help themselves. So total animal extinction and prevention of life coming back, that's going to take a very long time, and we can't allow humanity to go extinct before then. So, basically it would be discrimination to focus on human extinction now when we have to do animals first and other life first.
What if we just like nuke the world 1,000,000 times?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say 1,000,000 times because the last asteroid had the power of 1,000,000,000 nukes and still didn't cause total extinction.
Did it really? Oh, damn. All right.
Yeah, I saw it on the new Netflix documentary about dinosaurs.
Well, I support your cause, and thanks for talking to me.
All right, yeah, thanks for coming up. Consider reading our website, proextinction.com. The link is on my profile. We've got our manifesto, FAQ, principles. There's also a page showing all of our social media activists. So you can check that out right now on the website. There's like links to all of our different people on Instagram, YouTube. We have like 40 people on TikTok doing debate streams, making videos, agreeing to help us carry out total extinction. So we have thousands of supporters. We have literally people joining every day from all around the globe, agreeing to help carry out total extinction, to make it happen, to make it possible with peaceful activism, right? Strictly and only peaceful activism to grow until we have enough people to make it happen. Hello, how you doing?
James, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so first off, I love what you're doing. I'm really behind all of this. But my question is, am I going to be on a list? Are we all going to be on a list when we get involved with this? Like,
Probably.
Is the government going to eventually notice us?
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's...
The thing is that we're doing strictly peaceful activism. Like, we are strictly against any sort of violence or disruptive activism. And we're not actually coming after humans anytime soon, right? So our priority is animal extinction, other life. So we are completely against human extinction. We want humanity to thrive. We want more humans. We want the best for humanity, basically. Because the more humans, the better, the sooner we can do animal extinction. If we have 100 humans on the planet, it would be virtually impossible to do total extinction for animals, total prevention for life ever coming back, right? We need the most advanced methods possible to make sure life never comes back, so that nobody is forced into a bad life ever again. So yeah, we're not threatening any humans at all. We're promoting human health, promoting human reproduction for the time being, right? Because humanity is the solution. We need an active solution for total extinction, and it's not just about removing life, it's about scientifically making sure life never comes back. So that's kind of the main part of the mission. You know, you could consider that removing the life is actually the easy part, and then the much more difficult part is preventing it ever coming back. And we also support potentially doing universe-wide extinction as well. So investigating, researching whether or not it's something that we can do. So, you know, that question should be determined by science, not just by people saying, it sounds unrealistic. So we should determine whether it is realistic or not and see if we can do anything about it. Until we have done that, universe-wide extinction takes priority over Earth extinction, because there are more planets out there, more life. And so we're not saying that, you know, we're obsessed with aliens or anything, but we do have moral consideration to have for aliens, right? They could exist, and according to our science, it's actually likely that they will exist, similar to Earth, animals killing each other horrifically. So if we can prevent them from developing on planets, then that would be, you know, the best thing that we can do, basically.
Awesome. I appreciate that. So, last thing real quick. I work as a senior accountant, and I feel absolutely purposeless, you know? So if you guys ever get big enough that you need, you know, an accountant at all, I want to be involved in something that I believe in.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really hire anyone at the minute. We don't really have
I know.
money
It's
for
fine.
that. But you could do activism somehow, you know, maybe some sort of admin or design, or maybe something financial. I mean, we do receive donations. I've just received the sample for the merch, so we're going to be selling that soon. So I don't know, maybe there is something you could do, but yeah, you can join the Discord and the WhatsApp group. The links are on the website. And yeah, you know, if something pops up, you could read a message and say, oh, you know, I've got something I could say about this. So get involved.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. I'll give you a follow. Craft Catastrophe. Craft the Extinction. All right, let's see. We've got plenty of people in the queue, so we're going to start at the bottom as usual and work our way up. And anyone else wanting to get in the queue, feel free to join. We've got user 4746. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
You say that the cows and the farm animals doesn't suffer as bad as wild animals.
Some of them will suffer worse than wild animals, and vice versa. But I think generally, you know, that they do have certain luxuries that wild animals don't get.
But couldn't you say the same about slavery?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, lots of slaves probably had better lives than wild animals did.
Yeah, okay. And
the thing is, it goes both ways, right? So you can say, yeah, some slaves suffered worse than animals, and vice versa. But generally speaking, the problem is that there's like 100 quintillion wild animals which suffer terribly and die each year. Right, 100 quintillion, it's 1 followed by 20 zeros, and over 99% of them get eaten alive as children or starved to death, right, before reaching maturity. So, and, you know, compared to, you know, 100 quintillion, you've got only 100 billion farmed animals each year, essentially. So it's a much smaller amount, and the amount of land surface of the earth taken up by animal agriculture, despite the fact that it's only 100 billion animals, is basically like 50% of the Earth's surface. And so that's caused massive deforestation and habitat loss, which has resulted in, you know, gigantic numeric reduction for animal populations and a reduction in their suffering.
Yes, true. And if George Floyd was still alive, would you still be pro total extinction?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks for coming up. So the problem is that if you go vegan right now, or if there was a vegan world, if everybody was vegan, then the forests on the planet would double essentially. So vegans are essentially environmentalists. Yeah, you could say that some of them aren't, but most of them realistically are, and would support reforesting and doubling the number of wild animals that essentially are forced to die horrifically every year. So, we need less environment, less habitat, but we support animal extinction and universe-wide extinction as well. But while we're doing animal extinction, we'll have to remove our dependence on them. So it's going to be bit by bit. Kyle, hello, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, James? Let me just start off by saying I agree with the prompt because, it just logically follows. But I don't necessarily agree that we should end suffering. I do think suffering.
Would you agree with slavery being ended?
Depends, because like if we could, for example, genetically modify them to not feel pain, right?
So you support slavery? Slavery plus?
Slavery plus.
Slavery 2.0.
Slavery. Like xeno slavery. Yeah.
So you support slavery, you support suffering. Thank you, Kyle, for your wonderfully progressive opinions and putting out that positive thought into the world of slavery is good. Okay, so we've had child abuse is good, we've had slavery is good today, we've had animal suffering is good. What else have we got? Will someone say like depression is good at some point? Probably. Okay, moving on. So no suffering is acceptable, right? The pro-extinction movement is working towards total extinction to be forcefully
Sir, I'm
kept
sorry, I
down.
was chewing on the
and
back of my
no suffering.
mouth, Shroud.
Hello?
All right. So, yes, sir. I've been listening to you, and I think it's kind of, and I'm not attacking you, this is just my term. I think it's intellectual bullshit, like literally. I think if I
So
try to get a
suffering
little
isn't
bit more
unacceptable.
civil discourse, I think it's resignation at its worst. I think cowardice is not a good thing.
How
I
is it
think
cowardice?
pessimism is not a good thing.
It's not pessimism. It's saying
How
that
is
we
it
should
cowardice?
end suffering, right? It's like saying we should end slavery, we should end suffering.
The pessimism is that suffering is unavoidable, it's inherent, or suffering to a degree that is unavoidable, inherent, there'll be no improvement. It's really pessimistic. There'll be no
It's
moral
not
body that's
pessimistic.
strong enough to
It's
stave
being
off.
realistic. It's being realistic. So, look.
It's almost like
The thing
there
is, for
should be no
you
doctors
reducing. So
because
for
of
you,
sickness.
I'm sure you would support reducing slavery instead of ending slavery, right? But that would be unacceptable, and it's the same with extreme suffering. You can't just say, "Oh, it's not that important. We should just reduce it slightly." It is unacceptable, and we can't allow it.
Well, the pessimism is one that there is no
Well, we've looked into
human
it,
beings that would want to end slavery.
Well, look,
There's no God that wants to end slavery.
All right, let's just move on, okay? This guy is probably drunk or something. All right, we've got Mr. A coming up now. Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi.
I think you think it's logical,
Good for you.
but I don't think it's logical. I think you think it's logical, so it's right. But I don't think that.
Wow. Give us more of your wisdom.
Okay, well, I want you to tell me more because I'm new here, so.
Okay. So suffering is unacceptable, right? Extreme suffering, forcing others into terrible lives, the ultimate harm, right?
Okay.
So yeah, it's not acceptable. We can't allow it
So
anymore.
wait, do you treat it like a pros and cons thing or what?
No, just that suffering is unacceptable, right? So we just can't allow it. Life, it's not safe for life to exist. It suffers too much. So we can't allow it anymore, and we have to enforce total extinction in order to defend the victims from being forced to suffer anymore.
Okay, so I'm guessing by this the ideology you have that you'll never have kids, right?
No, we actually support human reproduction temporarily, but so that we can do animal extinction and other life first.
What?
So it's about a fair solution for everyone, right? Because we're not the only life in the world, and we are the only ones that can help, though.
Okay, so this just all stems from like defining suffering, and like
No, it doesn't. We don't do definition word games or anything like that. So
yeah, no, I mean like
that's not what
how you
intelligence
perceive
should be based
suffering.
on. Definitions, right?
It depends on how you perceive suffering, to be honest.
No, it really does, right? Yeah, if you perceive it as in like a cold-hearted way, like we had someone earlier say child abuse isn't bad, right? I mean, you
No,
might
not
agree
like that,
with
like Nietzschean, like viewing it as growth or something.
Yeah, so look, philosophy is bad for you. It will rot your brain. So, it will make you just go into abstract concepts and essentially take you away from the real world, right? It makes you less grounded in reality, and it will make you just start doing definitional word games instead of having a proper conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're at our stance now among the leadership of the movement is that we basically advocate against philosophy like Nietzsche.
So wait, how would you like initiate this? I don't get it.
So we're growing the movement with activism until we have enough people to take over the world and start
You
doing
do
it.
realize like how absurd it sounds. Like you do realize like you know that no one is, like,
suffering being important might sound absurd to you, but not to us.
no, but like I mean, like how are you gonna like advocate this? No one would like.
I'm doing it
It just
now.
sounds completely.
People are
absurd.
joining every day. People are joining every day.
Yeah, obviously, because it
So
sounds
what are you
like
talking about? Oh, no one's going to do this.
People
Yeah, they
join when
are.
it's different.
How are you going to do it on TikTok? What's your next question?
No, I'm just saying like people join because it seems like a different idea. That's how people are.
You have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Stop yapping, okay? Just making stuff up. All right, moving on. We have Marcus coming up next. Hello.
Hello?
How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good, thank you.
So, I also have been listening to you for a little bit, and I wanna ask, like, what is the goal, and how will killing animals like still end suffering, if that makes sense? Because I feel like suffering is something that's also natural. Like we don't ask for suffering. Suffering is just there, if that makes sense, Just how we can die at any time or we can
Yeah, well,
catch a
if there's no
disease.
animals to suffer, then there will be no animal suffering ever again.
But how about for humans?
Yeah, same thing.
And what is the goal of that if no one, like, for
No
example,
more
let's say
suffering.
there's no...
Safety from right. The problem is it's not safe for life to exist. So life shouldn't exist because it will just suffer terribly. So the point is to just make sure that life doesn't exist in infinite danger, in unsafe conditions.
Okay, understandable. And how is he getting rid of all the animals and humans? Like, yes, I understand how that does end suffering. I get that part. But what next? My point is like, okay, let's say we do all this and then we all just basically kill ourselves, right? Because that's how we have to do it to be extinct at one point. So then what? What's the point to life? What's the point to Earth? Like, what do you
Well, why
think
does
is
there
going
need to be a
that
point, right? You're basically that point. All it does is excuse suffering, defend suffering.
True, but wouldn't you want to live? I feel like you being on this
No,
planet is
not
a
at
gift.
the expense of my. Well, the thing is, right? We understand that we are in infinite danger as well. So it's not safe for any life to exist.
But why do you think that? Because again, like you're living right now, we're having a conversation. You're not in danger, right?
Well, yeah,
we're just talking.
we're all in infinite danger right now, right? Anything could happen at any time, and you can't limit it.
That's correct, and I do agree with that. But my question is, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it in your perspective, and I just don't get how.
Well, you have to think of the victims who need extinction.
Okay, like, can you give me some examples?
Yeah, 99% of animals born in nature will be eaten alive as children. So, you wouldn't want to experience that. They shouldn't have to. There's people living with extreme depression, chronic pain, abuse, lives of hell. So, extinction is going to benefit every life form that would have suffered.
I agree. And I was listening earlier. You said some people mentioned like child abuse and other stuff, which obviously I don't agree with at all. I think, that shouldn't happen at all, and humans shouldn't suffer in that way. But let me tell you, sometimes you can't control things. And let me explain what I mean by that. Like, as someone who has been through like a lot of physical abuse before, mental abuse, I've thought about it, and yes, I've suffered. But do I want to kill myself and completely end it? No. I think the fact that I'm moving on and that I'm, trying to give another chance in life and just not ending it and giving up makes me a stronger person. I think
Yeah,
if we all
but that
just,
doesn't mean we should allow child abuse, though, right?
absolutely, that's unacceptable and that's very, very bad. But the thing
Which is
is,
why only total extinction will disallow child abuse.
but it's not all people, it's like there are bad people in
Look,
the
there you
world. There
go.
are
So
some good
you're
people.
making the classic mistake that I've been mentioning today, where people are saying we should only care if it's everyone, right? It has to be every single last individual being tortured before I'll care. That's you've made the same mistake that several people today have made by saying that.
Okay. No,
Which
I
basically
understand.
just proves that you have zero morality, right? Saying that I will only ever care if it's everyone, including me.
Well, why
If
do you say?
99% of people are being tortured, then I'll still say, well, it's not everyone.
Well, the thing is, no, you're right, but it's not 99% of people. That's what I'm
So
saying.
it has to be, but it is 99% of life on the planet, and you really are going to stand by that and say, yeah, it has to be 99% or 100% before I care. Is that what you're going
No,
to say?
that's not what I'm saying. I know. Good point. Good
Sounds
point.
like
That
you're
is
supporting
not.
that position.
What I'm trying to what I'm trying to say is, let me give you like my perspective. I think suffering is something that is natural in life, and what you do with it next is what type of a person you are. So some people might want to say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to die. And some people say, hey, I want to move on. I want
So
to
you're
see if there's
saying
better
it's
things.
so, but do you not see how you're fantasizing, right? You're romanticizing it. So you're saying that suffering can be used for good, right? But that doesn't apply in every single case. But you're making it sound like it does. So you're actually
And
ignoring.
suffering is also bad. My point is, it's the next moves that we do
No,
what
yeah,
really matters.
exactly. And my point is that you're ignoring all of those who have no next moves.
Okay, can you give me an example, please,
Yeah,
of a person who has no
99%
next
of
moves?
animals being eaten alive as babies, right?
But that's animals, which is
Okay,
wrong.
what
Like,
about children that get abused to death, right? What's their next move?
that's wrong. And those people who do that deserve to be
Yeah,
burned
and
in
so
hell.
we shouldn't allow it though. But punishing the criminal who does it doesn't help the victim.
I understand that. I understand that. It doesn't. You're right. The criminal still committed that crime. The child still has to live with that for the rest of their
No,
life.
you're not listening.
Okay,
We're
okay.
talking about cases where the child dies, right? Where there is no happy ending.
Okay, and let's say that happens, then that's sad, man. And I'm not agreeing that that's
But
good.
it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable. I understand, but my point is, dude, deaths are gonna happen. You're gonna be sad in your life. There's
So
gonna
do
be
you know what
moments.
unacceptable means, right? Because you're saying it's unacceptable, but I accept it. So you can't have your cake and
It's
eat it, right?
unacceptable, but I can't
No.
control it. I can't
You
control
can't
it
say it's unacceptable, but yeah, who cares about it?
because I can't control other people's actions,
Then
my
you
friend.
don't
That's why.
actually think it's unacceptable then,
I
because
do,
if you
because let
did,
me.
you wouldn't be saying we should just accept it. It's just life.
But it's other people's actions. My point is, just as
Yeah,
much as I hate
exactly.
it,
We're talking about the world, right?
so no matter how much I accept it, I can't change people's actions. I don't know why you don't
Yes, you
understand it. It's
can.
like, hey, I could as
You can
look.
absolutely
Let me.
change people's actions. What are you talking about?
Can
You're
I
not
give you an
impotent, are
example?
you?
Okay. Let me just give you a good example, and you tell me if this is bad or not. Let's say you're a murderer. No matter how much times I tell you to stop murdering people, you're still gonna do it. That's the same
Right. So
example
we
of
just
that.
shouldn't have the police. We shouldn't try and stop murder then, because people are going to do it anyway. You're not making
We
any
do.
sense.
People do things about it, dude. I am making sense. I just don't think you want to accept the truth of life, man. It's like
The truth of life. What the hell?
The
So
truth
you're
of
some
life.
sort of philosophical, spiritual guru. The truth of life. What's that? What's
I
the
would
truth of
say
life?
I'm kind of philosophical, but my point is, dude,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
rotted your
agreeing.
brain.
You're like looking at me wrong, because let me tell you something. I agree with what you're saying. Just hear me out, okay? I agree that child abuse is bad. I agree that humans should not suffer. I agree animals should not suffer. That is all bad. But
we
that
should
is
allow it. But we shouldn't do anything about it.
no. But exactly, how are we allowing it if it's a natural thing? Explain
Because
that to me.
you're allowing it. Do you know what allow means?
I do know what allowed means. If someone goes and rapes someone else,
It means if
and
you're
me
not
and you are
stopping it.
sleeping, how are we
No,
allowing
Marcus,
it?
that's the opposite. You're right. Philosophy really has rotted your brain. Allowing it means you're not stopping it.
But my point is, it's human. It's dirty. You can't control dirty humans' actions on the
People do that all the
but yes,
time. We have
can
the
do things
police. What are
about
you
it.
talking about?
We do. My point is, people can still do it.
Marcus, you're finished. You're out of here, right? You're getting desperate as hell. Okay, enough of that. Moving on. We've got more people coming up next on the Extinction Zone. All right, we have Jesus Christ himself coming up next. Jesus, how you doing?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions for you, mate.
Yeah, go for it.
So, do you actually meet up with people in real life and discuss about these things?
Yeah.
Or is it only an online thing that you do?
No, it's in real life as well. We do street events, street protests, debates, interviews in the street, loads of stuff.
What is your religion? What do you believe in?
I'm an atheist, and we're an atheistic movement.
Atheistic movement, okay.
Yeah.
So what makes you think that everyone should die, basically?
Because extreme suffering is unacceptable, and the only way to have no more victims and to prevent billions of more years of it, is just to break the chain, break the cycle, and have total extinction.
And how do you think you're going to achieve this? Do you believe you're going to achieve this?
Yeah, so our movement is working towards making it happen. So we're growing the movement until we have enough people to do it.
And you're saying, like, because I was listening, you were saying you want to promote peace at the start to begin with, and then you want to switch to, like, mass extinction is what you're saying.
Well, it would be done in an orderly way, in an organized way.
Yeah. So what you're saying is...
society would keep running as we start doing animal extinction, for example.
Yeah, so what you're saying is we should just put you in charge of the world, and then you can take the lead and just kill us all, right?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, got it. Well, have a nice day, James.
Are you all right? You too, Jesus. Thanks
Good
for
luck.
coming in. Say hi to God for me. All right, moving on. We have Jacobson in the queue. We've got who else? We have Robus Nostradamus. Bringing him up to the Extinction Zone. Hello, how you doing? Hello. Okay, another AFK person. Fair enough. That's all right. We've got lots of people. We've got Letitia. She's been waiting for ages. It's a spicy meatball. Let's bring her up.
And it really does feel like we have hit on something here. Because
hi, James.
I know we say this.
Hello.
Oh, I didn't actually press the button, but I can say hi to you if you want me to. If you want to have a conversation,
Yeah,
you'd
sure.
have to. You would have to start it though, because actually I was listening and commenting, but I did not push the button. Believe it or not, I didn't actually press the button.
No worries, Letitia. It's always nice to say hello to you.
Actually, I just have one thing though. I didn't mention your t-shirts, your merch. Can you have a green t-shirt?
A green
Are you?
one.
Yeah, actually, I do have a question though. Still, are you, no matter what, to whatever ends, like you are? Because at this point, I don't know where you are at. I don't know where we are at. But what do you think about nature? Nature on a very I'm trying to be serious because I'm a bit disjointed. I admit it. I am a little bit crazy. So I sometimes sound like an imbecile, sadly, because of the trauma that I really suffer from. But what's your, how do you see the need for trees? Honestly, this is not a Lord of the Rings, or it almost feels like it sometimes. But about the need for more. Okay, I'm nearly there actually. More, no matter what end. More animals, more existence, more children, if we can, if our DNA, etc., is well checked, if we stop doing what we are doing sometimes within family circles, because you permit yourself to talk about family abuse, especially children, but we got to understand that some old people do get abused, and that perhaps nature gets in bracket abused because it can be used for the media as well and some form of entertainment. So I thought that whilst we are on a disaster mode, we might as well go for it. And me being an imbecile, perhaps indeed, and ask as many questions. But I really did not press the button.
Letitia, don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'll undo that mistake for you. But yeah, nature, is it good? Is it bad? Well, technically, we wouldn't just wipe out nature because universe-wide extinction is the priority. So we should try and get rid of nature and remove our dependence on it while removing animals as well. So if all of
I think talking about suffering, right? I think we need to end suffering. It seemed like that last guest was suffering quite a bit.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But we should have empathy and compassion and respect.
How do you dare talk about empathy when you just want to wipe everything out of existence? It's almost like you want to de-evolve.
It's about having respect for life, right? Compassion for life.
Life will find a way to restart. And I
Not
doubt,
if we put, not if we put a
your
stop to it.
movement can get big enough to actually have any sort of effect.
Well, haters gonna hate. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, look,
Really?
there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be doubters, and we just have to accept that and say, yeah, I mean, fair enough. Go and doubt away. We'll just keep on working away and trying to make it happen.
Hello. So the claim that total extinction is the only right thing to do, it's quite a large moral claim. So could you tell me what framework you're using to make that assumption?
Yeah,
First of all.
suffering is unacceptable, and we have to. We can't allow it anymore. Basically.
So is that utilitarianism, as in the?
It's extinctionism.
So, but what moral framework are you using to say that it's the only right thing to do?
Well, it's
What makes it morally right?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of ways to understand it, right? So suffering is unfair, right? It is the ultimate harm as well, like to be trapped in a life of hell, for example. So there is nothing worse than that, even theoretically. You wouldn't want it to happen to you, right? So, look, and basically, the reality is that essentially, once you look into it, safety from extreme suffering has infinite moral value over happiness and life existing, right? So happiness and life and existence is essentially worth zero. It doesn't need to exist. It doesn't urgently need to exist. There's no need for it. And nothing bad will happen if it doesn't exist anymore. Whereas safety from extreme suffering is something that we can't do without, right? And, innocence being forced into a life of pure hell is unfair. It is wrong. And it is unacceptable. And it's not something that we should allow, because the current dynamic is one of saying that, our life, my life is more important than somebody else's safety. It's one of exploitation and an unfair dynamic.
So you say that life is pure hell, which makes me assume that you believe there's
everyone,
more
but it is
more
for many.
suffering than joy inflicted on life. Is that correct?
Well, I would say that even if there's only one victim suffering through a terrible life, then we should still do extinction, right? So no amount of happiness can justify extreme suffering.
So you're saying even if the majority experienced more joy than suffering, it's still worth it to eliminate all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're all in infinite danger, and they'll all keep reproducing and causing more extreme suffering unless we stop it. Look, people are being forced into terrible lives that they never asked for. They're suffering terribly. They're begging for death, wishing they'd never been born. It's not acceptable, and it's not comfortable to think about. And so most people would rather just pretend it doesn't exist, ignore it, allow it, excuse it, downplay it, trivialize it, instead of taking it seriously. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
So I've been listening for a little bit, and I guess I'm still kind of a little bit confused. I mean, I guess is this just like a purely moralistic, philosophical viewpoint of yours, or is this more of a
It's a movement.
actual action plan?
Yeah, it's an ideology and a movement.
Okay. So then, I've noticed also too that you mentioned that in order for all life to end, basically humans have to stick around in order to affect that end. Yes.
Yeah.
So that utility gives us value.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay. So then, if basically, I'm also kind of wondering then, is suffering the only mode and point of existence, or is there any other alternative mode or point of existence?
Well, you've got people are having a good time and then people are having a bad time, but even those that are having a good time can go on to have a bad time as well.
Okay. And then it also seems like basically it's one of two things. Either you're, in your viewpoint, basically someone is either for suffering in that they basically are anti, extinction, or they're like you, they're pro-extinction and therefore anti-suffering.
Yeah.
So it's a binary argument.
I mean, I wouldn't frame it that way.
Well, it kind of seems like you are, because those are the two positions you seem to be striking upon people. And it seems
Well,
like
yeah,
anybody.
I mean, we would say that extreme suffering is unacceptable, whereas for most people it is acceptable, right?
Okay, but you don't allow for any kind of philosophical dissection of that binary argument.
I mean, we do, but like it has to make sense, right?
Well, I mean, it seems like a lot of people have kind of brought that forward, and you've even mentioned at one point you can't get lost in philosophy. Philosophy rots your brain, I believe, was your exact words.
Yeah, so we should discuss the logic of it, right? We don't need to resort to philosophy, word games, definition, confusion, and junk like that. Right?
Well,
we can just pretend that philosophy doesn't even exist, and we can still talk about it.
Well, philosophy is largely based on logic.
Yeah, well, basically, we have seen that philosophy definitely is rotting people's brains to the point where they're saying that child abuse isn't bad.
Well, again, I think that's basically applying the whole binary nature to the argument, because basically,
so you don't think child abuse is bad?
Well, I think everybody thinks child abuse is bad. I mean, do you think
that's
doctors
not what I
are
asked you? That's not what I asked you.
Obviously, I think it's bad.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, do you think doctors are pro-suffering?
Most humans are pro-suffering.
But are doctors pro-suffering specifically? Do you think they get into medicine to do suffering, to inflict suffering?
No.
Okay. Do you think any doctors are pro-extinctionists?
I don't know.
I mean, isn't that a fair question?
What's your obsession with this appeal to authority with doctors? Do you have a crush on a doctor or something?
Well, I think they are very qualified, high operating people in our society.
So you are making an appeal to authority.
Well, why
don't you deal with the logic yourself, right? Instead of saying, would a doctor agree with this, right? So that's why philosophy is bad for you, right? It will rot your brain into not being able to have a proper.
Well, I don't quite understand what you're saying, though. I mean, I don't know what you're saying about the point of doctors. I mean, doctors are obviously not pro-suffering, and they're obviously not pro-extinction.
Okay, well, that's just a really weird appeal to authority. Right. So people will do that all the time. It's like saying, well, God wouldn't agree with this. Well, a doctor wouldn't agree with this. Well, tell me what you think, right? Tell me. Wouldn't agree with this. Well, a doctor would. Hello, how you doing?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi. While we're waiting for things to end, I'm distributing seahorses.
Okay, fair enough. All right, moving on. We have James Ideoni fan in the queue. I don't know if he's still there though. Let's see. Right, we need fresh volunteers for the queue, fresh blood for the tree of extinction. Get in here, let's debate. And, even if you've been rejected, kicked out, we can still do round 2 potentially. Someone on Discord saying they want to debate as well. We've got Jesus Christ back in the queue. Jesus Christ himself coming up next in 3, 2, 1. Hello, Jesus.
Hello, James. I'm back. I have another question for you, mate.
Yeah, what's good?
Yeah, mate. So, I think you're the strangest man that I've ever come across on TikTok, right? Let me just get that out of the way.
Fair enough.
Secondly, do you live with your parents?
With my father.
With your father, right. Okay. I went to your page and I don't see any videos of like protests and social interactions whatsoever. Nothing.
All right. Well, go on. Go on our website. Go on the social media channels page, and you can see we have dozens of people. And Renee especially does street protests. He's on the streets every day.
James, my only advice to you would be just to read the Bible. And that's it.
Praise Jesus. Okay, moving on. Don't praise Jesus because Jesus supports suffering. Praise total extinction and the end of all suffering, right? Look, it should be obvious that we should all be able to agree that forcing someone to exist is an unacceptable thing, right? Forcing someone into a life they never asked for, where they can suffer terribly, it's not acceptable. Total extinction is the only solution.
Dude,
Hello,
you just said forcing somebody to exist is bad.
Yeah.
So equally to that, forcing somebody to die is bad.
Not as bad.
It's the same. It's equal.
No, because the ultimate harm is to go through a life of pure hell, right? Whereas dying is not as bad as that.
But that's an opinion. Your life being pure hell is an opinion. You could take my consciousness and put it in your body. And I will have a different
but it doesn't
opinion
matter
from
if
you.
it's an opinion. We know it happens, right?
No, it's a choice. It's an
What's a
opinion.
choice?
It's
So what children get?
observation.
Do babies choose to get abused?
I've been abused as a child.
You're not
I
answering
didn't
the
choose
question.
that. Somebody else
You're not
chose
answering the
that.
question. Do you want to get kicked?
No, but you're not. You
Okay,
don't like.
so you're refusing to answer the question. Got it. Can't answer that one, my lord. Can't answer that one, my lord. That's too good. Too good of a question. Hello, how you doing?
So what's it called? So I was talking with my friend about this, and he said that So he was saying that it's like the chances of somebody being born and having a terrible life. He was bringing up some like statistics and saying that the chances like very like low. And like a couple of minutes ago, you said that what's it called? Forcing somebody to, taking life away from somebody is like not as bad as preventing somebody as like hold on, I have a lot of brain fog. I'm really sorry.
It's not as bad as forcing someone into a life of extreme health.
Yeah. So he was bringing up like a bunch of statistics. So he's basically saying that it's like more worth it to like just live life. I don't know. Hold on. Everything that he said in the DM. I'm sorry. It's the guy who added you. Like I'm the guy from Discord. You're in group chat.
Oh, are you? Okay, I didn't realize.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what he said. Like I'm trying my best.
Yeah. Well, look, most people, yourself probably included, have this mentality of, well, if it's not everyone, then who cares? But that just allows for infinite suffering. And it's a mentality of just ignoring suffering, not caring about it, only caring about it when you're forced to care about it, right? So, the last holdout, right? If you really don't want to care about suffering, then you're going to hold out. No, I still don't care. There's more and more suffering. No, I still don't care. You're only
Yeah, hold on. I just remembered.
Everybody.
He said it's unfair for the people that get to. Okay, so let's say there's like 1,000 people, that are yet to be born, and they're like and their lives are like set to be flawless and enjoyable. But there's 10 of them that are gonna live through pure hell. He said that it's unfair for the 1,000 people to not get to experience that.
No, because that's what fairness means, right? Fairness means that you don't get to have fun if it causes somebody else to suffer.
Right. Also, he said that
it's like a slave owner saying, no, banning slavery would be unfair. I won't make money anymore. It's like a criminal saying, banning child abuse is wrong, right? I won't get to have fun anymore.
Yeah, okay. So he also said that it's unfair. I was telling him that adoption is like way more, like it's like way better than creating another child, unless the genetics are flawless and the child was like bound to be intelligent, etc. I said that adoption is better, and he said that it's like unfair to like not let people have kids, etc.
Yeah, well, he's just thinking of it through an animalistic sort of mentality, right? He's not thinking about the actual responsible part, which is the suffering, the risk, the danger. So that's what people do. They don't they're not responsible, right? So they're not responsible for their own safety or the safety of others. They'll smoke themselves to an early grave and have 10 kids that all end up committing suicide. So that's not a good thing. We shouldn't be saying, oh, yeah, respect that freedom to do that. No, absolutely not. People are using their freedom for the worst things possible.
All right. Okay. So it would take me a couple of minutes to like summarize everything else that he said. Like, I feel, dude, honestly, I'm not sure who would win a debate between you two. And that's kind of concerning me. So, dude, it would mean so much if you could like debate him like via text, because he really doesn't want to do anything else other than that. We were debating that. It lasted for like an hour.
I mean, so for everyone else watching, there's some guy on Discord that wants to debate with me over text on Discord. Can't I just text him like every now and then? Does it have to be at the same time for a set hour? Especially if we're texting.
To be honest, yeah, you can like be like, you don't have to, be super invested. Like, you can just like respond to his messages every now and then.
Right, I'll try and multitask. I'll try and debate this guy on TikTok messages while
Thank you. Like, that means a lot to me, because I was not able to win in a debate with him. It's like kind of crazy because I've never had that happen.
Fair enough. I am good at debating. So let's move on to our next guest, bringing up more people onto the stream. Moving on. Hello, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't think suffering is innately bad.
Okay, so what about child abuse? Is child abuse bad?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I'm impressed. So why is child abuse bad?
It hurts.
Yeah, so it's just obviously bad, right? So that's why suffering is bad.
Yeah, suffering is bad, but that doesn't mean the solution is death.
So what other solution is there though?
Healing? Hello?
But healing that's not a universal solution, right? That doesn't end all suffering.
Yes, it does.
But healing, some vague concept like that, doesn't prevent animals from eating each other, doesn't prevent babies from dying horrifically.
Is
so
pain...
You're thinking about suffering in a romantic sense, like, oh yeah,
I'm not thinking about it in a romantic sense. I'm not thinking about it in a romantic sense. I'm thinking strictly in the sense that we need some suffering in order to experience everything else. And I think what you would say is you would rather give up suffering than get the chance to experience everything else. Is that what you choose? I'll put it like this.
Look, the thing is that life doesn't need to exist, right? So people are addicted to the pleasures of life and the meaning of it, right? But it's a coping mechanism, right? This addiction to life existing, it's an unhealthy obsession, basically, right?
Unhealthy obsession.
Yeah, all it does is cause extreme harm.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, if we operate on that, and you believe that, what are you doing here?
Activism. to make ending all suffering possible.
I mean, but wouldn't it be better for you to go like yesterday?
Yeah, but that wouldn't. So I'm not selfish like that, right? I'm trying to make sure nobody else has to suffer as well.
Wait, selfish? Are you being altruistic?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I have empathy for others, right? I'm aware of their
Isn't
suffering.
empathy just a distraction, like you said, to keep you from experiencing less suffering?
What on earth are you talking about?
Why do you have empathy?
I was born that way. So
You're born that way.
most people are born without it, like yourself. And yeah, if you have enough empathy, if you have enough empathy, you will care about others and care if they suffer.
Yeah, okay. But you care about others and you empathy. You think empathy is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And you're choosing your empathy for other people over what is the ultimate right thing for you to do, which is to die, right?
Why would that be the ultimate right thing?
You just said it was. You said forceful total extinction.
Okay, right, yeah. Total extinction doesn't mean self-extinction. What is wrong with these people, right? Like it's like saying we should help everyone, and they're like, right, so we should only help ourselves. It's like, no, everyone. Well, ourselves, everyone. Just me, everyone. They don't get it. Hello, how you doing?
Yo, bro, you good?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, my question was this week when you first go outside.
What?
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying my question was this. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. What's your question? Okay. Luxovarex, looks like you've got some audio issues or something. Moving on, we have Woe Charlie coming up now into the extinction zone.
Oh,
hello.
The solution to suffering is not mass extinction, it's faith. You said that you're an atheist, but if you had faith, you would know that God is the one that will end all suffering.
Well, God put, child abusers and children on the same planet and then gave them free will. So God is not really coming to help anyone. He's actually causing all of this suffering. Not that he exists, right? Not that he's real. There is no God. Hello, how you doing?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hi.
It's so annoying that people aren't giving realistic solutions to ending suffering. But yet it's supposed to prove something. We can't just say oh, we're just gonna heal everything. That's not realistic. Things just don't work like that.
Okay, why not?
I don't know. That's just what I want to say. If you're gonna come on here, give a realistic solution to ending suffering, apart from this.
Yeah, there is really no other solution, right? The thing is that to guarantee zero suffering, you would require omniscience, right? You would have to say, yeah, I know that there are no unknowns, right? I know that I know everything and it's impossible for there to be anything that I don't know. And therefore I can guarantee with 100% that there will be no suffering in this, person's lifetime. So without that, then there's a chance it can go wrong and it doesn't meet the same standard of safety that extinction can provide. So, if you were to go into a simulation, into the Matrix or something, there's a chance it can go wrong, then it's not right. Even if they say it's perfect, it's never going to go wrong, but we don't have omniscience, then there's a small chance there's something they don't know, right? Which presents infinite danger. So it can go wrong and you could be trapped suffering for billions of years if you're in a simulation or something. So life should never exist without absolute certainty of safety, and the standard for that should be as high as possible, essentially, like the highest. And yeah, only extinction can guarantee no more suffering and safety. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah. No.
Okay, thank you very much for coming up. Good to see more support for the movement. All right, we have Mr. A coming up again, bringing them up right now. onto the extinction zone. Hello.
It's me again.
Yeah, how's it going?
Okay, I'm just gonna say, like, you're assuming all suffer, like, we should rid of all suffering, like it's something like you're assuming a utopia world, kind of.
What do you mean? So
Like,
so total extinction, right? No life, no possibility of life, and therefore no suffering ever again. That's
exactly, you think it seems logical, but why, like, I think you should view it from a pros and cons perspective. Like, you should reduce the causes of suffering and, like, preserve the good parts.
Would you reduce slavery instead of ending it? Right, and say, well, look,
What do you mean?
what about the good parts of slavery? We make lots of money out of it. We shouldn't end slavery.
No, I
That's
mean
good.
the good parts of life, not suffering.
Yeah, but it's the same thing, right?
What do you mean?
I'm saying that you're saying we shouldn't end suffering, but I'm saying that that's similar to saying we shouldn't end slavery, right? It's not ethical. Of course, you should end slavery and you should end suffering.
Okay, but you're using like extreme suffering to argue. Like, you're saying like child abuse, for example. Obviously, it's horrible, but like the fact that like some experiences are bad doesn't automatically like mean that all existence is bad.
Well, so you're saying that as long as it's just a little bit of extreme torture, it's okay?
No, what I'm saying, let's say like let's say like you had a weighing scale, like if you put the bad parts of life and the good parts and the good parts outweighed it, then I don't see a problem.
Well, but that's not like you're living in a fantasy, right? We don't live in some sort of fantasy world where suffering balances out, right? You have lots of people and animals trapped in lives of pure hell where there is no balance. It's just pure misery every day until they die.
Okay, I have a question for you though. Like, how would you like initiate this extinction? Like, how would you kill people?
With euthanasia, putting them to sleep.
And you said you're pro-reproduction. I don't get that part, to be honest.
Yeah, so not having kids doesn't actually cause extinction. All it does is essentially take you out of the game, right? So we need active solutions to cause extinction, not passive ones, right? If you don't have kids, then firstly, those who do have kids will just keep reproducing and laugh at you as you go extinct. And secondly, not having kids doesn't help animals. So we need a total universal solution where instead of trying to rush it or be lazy by not having kids, we make sure that the entire planet is sterile, there's no possibility of life on it ever again, and potentially beyond Earth as well.
Okay, but you're just assuming like suffering's the only thing with moral value. I don't think that's like true. I think like happiness, love, they outweigh this.
So you think that happiness is always more important than the suffering?
No, I never said that. I said like happiness, love, achievement, stuff like that. They outweigh just suffering. Suffering is a big part, but I think it's outweighed.
So what makes you say it's outweighed?
Well, moral value.
You're not telling me much there.
Exactly, it's subjective. That's what I'm saying.
So no, I'm saying you need to tell me what are you saying that your beliefs are based on nothing, essentially?
No, I'm saying like, I'm saying to view it like a pros and cons thing, like I said before.
Yeah, it sounds like you're not really thinking this through, right? It sounds like you're biased. You don't really want to consider how bad the suffering out there is, and you just want to ignore it basically and say,
obviously,
it's pros and cons.
I acknowledge that like child abuse as much, like I don't know why you keep mentioning it, almost as if you're trying to guilt trip, but you keep mentioning it, and obviously it's bad, but it's like it's better to reduce the causes of suffering, not like just end suffering by like immediately just killing people.
There is no other way to end suffering, though, right? You can't provide safety from suffering without extinction.
Yeah, but why would you want to end like? Obviously, you want to end all suffering, but like I'm saying, it's better to like reduce it. Like,
why?
Like for example, like
better for who?
What do you mean better? Like
you're saying it's better to reduce suffering. So for who does that benefit? So that
would
takes
you,
away. So that causes more suffering to the victims, and then it benefits like the lucky ones, basically, right?
no, I think.
Well, no, look, it's like saying, let's not end slavery, let's reduce
Okay,
it, right? So
look,
that's going to cause suffering to slaves who still have to go through slavery because you haven't ended slavery, and it's going to benefit their masters, basically, who still make money.
how?
How do the masters of slaves benefit from making money from the slavery? Is that what you're asking?
No, I never even said that in the first place. I'm saying to
How?
reduce the causes of like slavery.
What?
Like you reduce the cause of
So
slavery.
you would reduce slavery instead of ending slavery?
Well, you can. Well, obviously
So
you
you
can't
would.
end
So
it.
when the slave owners are saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, end slavery, that's too drastic. We should reduce it," you would say that sounds like a more reasonable position, right? Like a
Nah,
middle ground.
you're just framing it because you know, obviously to end
I'm
all suffering,
asking
you
your
must kill everyone.
opinions, right?
No, I know, but to end all suffering, you must kill everyone. That's just true.
So
Like
you're
can't.
just not going to engage with what I've just said. You're just going to pretend I didn't say it.
No, I'm literally saying what your point is. You're saying you must end all suffering by killing everyone, which is obviously like.
Yeah. So you're going to ignore everything I just said about how it compares to slavery.
No, I'm saying. Look,
Well, yeah,
mate,
you're not mentioning it, right? You're just pretending I didn't say it. So we're going to move on, right? He's getting desperate, can't engage properly. Unfortunately, that just happens, right? You ask the right question, and they're like, I can't answer that. So I'm going to gaslight and hope he forgets about that question. Well, I didn't forget. I didn't forget. Okay? I'm going to hold you accountable to what you say and to the questions that we're engaging in, right? If you're just going to pretend that conversation didn't happen and just completely change subject, and then when I call you out on it, you're like, yeah, anyway, let me change subject, then no. Hello, how you doing? Yeah, do you have any questions? Yeah, we can't hear you. It's too quiet.
Oh,
That's better.
hold on.
That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, why don't you start with yourself? You sound really, really deeply hurt.
Okay, moving on to more intelligent people. You can't start with yourself because then you can't really continue on. So only really low intelligence people think it makes sense to start with yourself, right? Because you'd be ending with yourself. So you can't start that way, right? That wouldn't be starting. You wouldn't be able to finish the job, right? You wouldn't start and then move on to the next one. Like these people, their brains are just rotted, basically, completely rotted. All right, we have tons of people in the queue, so let's get them up. We've got Jordan Bradley coming up next. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, I had a hypothetical. I support what you're doing here. But I know that you don't necessarily believe in religion. But what if there was like some sort of afterlife or some sort of like second deal or something like that? Would you just basically start over at that point again, or would it be like maybe different?
Yeah, no, we're working towards total extinction and total prevention. So making sure that life never comes back.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question because most people want to rush extinction, right? They don't care enough to do it properly, whereas we do. We care enough to see it through to the best extinction possible, right? The most safety that we can provide from suffering possible. Most people want to rush that safety. They say, "Oh, just who cares about it? Half-ass it, leave it to chance." No, we shouldn't leave safety to chance at all. We should have the maximum extinction possible. Hello.
Hello. How's it going? I appreciate what you're doing here. First off, I wanted to pick up our debate from yesterday. We kind of ended with me saying I feel that there's a way with technology that we could reach a point where we reduce suffering with an omniscient AI or some other form of technology we're not aware of yet. But I I admit that there probably would still be suffering at that point. But let's say theoretically we could get it to an extremely low level where under 100 people were suffering. Would you say that it is still worth extinction if those people were suffering in ways that weren't,
Say again?
torture, rape, suffering that we can't stop, the point, in your opinion? If only 100 people or less in the entire, universe were suffering, and the suffering was a lesser suffering than rape, torture,
Right. Yeah, it's still
extreme,
unacceptable.
terrible
It's
disease,
still not acceptable.
just things that we can't prevent.
So there's no amount of happiness that can justify any suffering. It doesn't become more acceptable just because the numbers look better or feel more comfortable. There has to be zero suffering, and you can't make suffering acceptable by other people being happy. So most people have this crazy mentality where they'll say, yeah, someone being tortured to death as a baby, that's unacceptable. But as soon as there's like another person stood next to them that's happy, they're like, okay, now the baby being tortured, it is acceptable. Right? As long as someone else is happy, they don't care if someone suffers. But it doesn't make it acceptable, right? It's a slave owner mentality. It's an exploitative mentality, finding ways to justify and defend suffering, right? While allowing it and causing it and benefiting from it and then defending it, right? So most humans really have no empathy for other life. They simply don't care if it suffers. But that's because humans have evolved to be animals, right? So we've evolved to, exploit and kill and, hunt and murder and to, enjoy in the violence, basically. So we have to overcome those base mentalities. And instead of thriving on violence and suffering, we should end suffering, abolish it.
So if we've been able to reduce suffering to just someone having a chronic disease that we can't cure, and there's no torturing of babies, there's no abuse that we've allowed to continue on, and would that suffering that is, lesser suffering, and maybe even those people would be okay with life continuing on, such an advanced state of technology that we can reach that point, is there any acceptable form of suffering at the end of the day, even if it's lesser and the person consents to reality continuing on?
No. The thing is, you can't limit suffering. That's where you're making a mistake, right? Most people say, well, what if it's just like a stub toe? Well, it's physically impossible to guarantee that it will only ever be a stub toe, right? It's a fantasy, a delusion. The reality is much worse, that suffering has infinite potential, infinite risk. So you can't limit it to a stub toe. It's unlimited. It's infinite danger, infinite potential. There's nothing stopping you from, having the worst life ever lived, ever, the most pain ever experienced. So you can't limit it, and people are trying to irresponsibly, pretend that they can limit it, pretend it's not going to be that bad, instead of doing the responsible thing and exploring how bad it can be and actually considering it properly. Okay, Stephen has gone AFK. Moving on. We've got Lewis Cruz coming up next on the Extinction Zone. And with our new merch, check it out, right? How good is this? Pro Extinction Movement. If you want one, send me a message on TikTok. You'll have to PayPal me a bit, and then we can get it shipped out. We've also got hoodies and sweaters as well, like jumpers. So, let me know. All right, moving on. We've got more people in the queue. Let's bring some more up. We have a spicy philosophy bro coming up next. Sliver, hello.
Yeah, I'm not a philosophy bro. I don't enjoy philosophy, honestly. I get irritated by it.
Okay.
All the syllogisms and crap. But when I do present arguments, you seem to just get afraid and run.
Okay.
So we'll see how long you can last this time. So have you done any research into distinguishing between necessary and unnecessary suffering? Do you not distinguish between the two?
It's all unnecessary. Just get rid of all of it, right? No suffering.
So
Suffering
the
free
people
world.
the people that like enjoy some forms of suffering, you would say that's unacceptable as well.
Well, we shouldn't not do total extinction and allow everyone to suffer just because a couple people like suffering. That would be crazy.
Well, that brings me to a hypothetical then. So if your movement, doesn't, get up and start moving, and you are inevitably left with, maybe a few 100,000, if even that, people that are for this movement versus the vast majority of people that are against this movement, are you
Well, I don't
then
see how it
saying,
would end up in a situation like that necessarily, right? Because part of our plan
well,
would be
again, it's a hypothetical.
Right, but for you to understand, part of the plan is to outpopulate the rest of the population, right? So that's one option. So even if we only had a minority, we'd still be working to solve that problem.
Well, I mean, population isn't going to really help you. You have to change the minds of people. You have to change their ideals and
Right,
their
but you can
fundamental
only
understanding of morality.
You can only do that genetically, though. That's the problem. So
You
that's
think
why
you think you can genetically make people feel
empathy, yeah.
a certain way? Well, people feel empathy
It's all
for
in
the
the
most
brain.
part.
It's all in the brain, right? So it's a very complex machine, and yeah, you can improve it to understand empathy better.
Well, I mean, you might be able to like increase like hormones or something like that in
No,
order to like give
why
them higher
don't
empathy.
You don't know. You don't know, right? You're not a scientist.
I'm not a scientist. I mean, that's fine. You had a PhD physicist in here yesterday, and he was disagreeing wholeheartedly with your argument. So,
We don't need appeals to authority.
well, all right. You said you'd appeal to a scientist, but okay.
No, I'm saying you're making bold scientific claims about what's not possible, right? When you have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't think you do either. You
I
think
do.
that there's a possibility with
I do,
genetics
right?
that you can manipulate people's empathy levels.
Yeah. Where do you think it comes from?
Even still, do you think empathy
So you're
is
just
going
going to
to
accept that point and move on, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was your question? I had a thought in my head. I was going forward with it. What was your question?
You were just changing subject, basically, right? I didn't want you to answer that question correctly. So
No, I really didn't mean to. I was
just gonna move
continuing
on.
on my own thought. So please ask your question again, and I'll try to answer.
No, you go ahead now.
Okay. So to continue with my hypothetical, if your movement doesn't make it off the ground and you're only left with a couple 100,000 people that join the movement that are for pro extinction, are you going to move forward and violate the freedom and autonomy of the masses in order to fulfill your desire and the desire of the very, very small minority?
Yeah. That's why.
Really?
It's
And you think that's
forceful.
moral?
That's why it's forceful to look. You'll never get 100% agreement for extinction, so it has to be forceful.
Sure, but if you are a fraction of a percent of people that agree with you, you're still going to force your desire on others?
Yeah.
Does that seem moral to you?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, morality isn't determined by the majority, right? Otherwise, gang rape would be okay because most of the people involved are the rapists.
Morality is determined by the majority. That's
Really?
how our
So
entire
if the majority
judicial
supports
system.
slavery, then it's moral.
It is in that nation, yeah. It is considered to be a
if
moral and legal
if they
thing.
support child abuse, then child abuse is good.
You're using the same
So
arguments
if they
that
support
religious
child
people.
abuse, child abuse, would it be good?
It wouldn't be good.
Right. So
According to me,
so then the majority thinking something doesn't mean it's necessarily good.
Morality is subjective through and through.
But you do agree then that something isn't moral just because the
I
majority
agree.
says so.
Yes, I agree. But a larger percentage may not agree with me.
So
Morality is
So
subjective.
I'm getting that the way you think is just about appealing to the majority. Oh, the majority wouldn't think that. So the majority
Unfortunately,
think
no.
this. So you don't think for yourself. You just whatever the majority thinks, that's your position.
No, but
Yes.
we had slavery for a long time.
Look, that's his position. There's no point arguing this guy anymore, right? His position is just whatever the majority says, right? Well, the majority wouldn't say that. Well, what would you say? Use your own brain. Oh my God. Right? I don't want to argue with the majority. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, doing good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
This is a very interesting live. I just wanted to kind of ask, could you explain the whole movement just to kind of overview it?
Yeah, so it's based on, the fact that extreme suffering is unacceptable, that life doesn't need to exist. It has basically zero moral value, whereas safety from suffering has like infinite moral value, infinite need, infinite urgency. And so, yeah, life shouldn't exist. It's not safe for life to exist. It's being forced into infinite danger where the unlucky ones are paying the ultimate price. It's not fair. It's not necessary. And yeah, it's not acceptable. So we have to correct this problem, make sure nobody is being forced into a terrible life ever again. No more animals are being abused. No more children are being abused. Shut down hell, basically, right? With total extinction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, to give you context, I'm a Muslim, right? Our belief is that this world is basically a test, and essentially the test will end, and we will all go to heaven or hell based on our, in situation in this world. And to some extent, I understand your point of view that life is full of sufferings. There's like a lot of tests, a lot of like sufferings.
The thing is
And
that suffering doesn't really present itself as a test in most cases, right? There's nothing to learn from, nothing to, be tested on, right? Like an animal being, murdered or something. Like there's no test there for the animal, right? It just
well,
simply
I'll
gets
stick to
tortured and
the.
killed.
I understand, but I'll stick to the human part for the sake of the argument, right?
Well, it's
Let's
the
just
same
go.
with humans, right? So lots of human babies get tortured to death, right? Lots of children, people that there's no
But that's
test there.
isn't
You
one
can't
would
say that's a
argue that
test. You can't say that torturing a baby to death is a test.
I understand that for the baby it's not, but it is a test for the human being who's making
So
that
what kind
subject.
of God would put child abusers and children on the same planet and say, yeah, this is your test, go for it?
No, but it's the test is that do not be an abuser, right? Do not
But there's
abuse
no
your power.
there's no free will. That free will doesn't exist though, right? So life will do
Why
whatever
doesn't
it's
it exist?
programmed
I
to
have
do.
4 kids. I'm not torturing them.
Right, but it's not about choice either, right? So like the baby can die terribly from cancer or something, right? So
Right, but that's again like hard life is a test. You will
so
get better reward if
how
you're
does the
like a
baby pass
partner.
that test then? Is it by like not
It's a
screaming too
test for
loud?
the parents. Babies basically, if they God forbid, like unalive in that situation, they will go to heaven. If it's a harder life means a better outcome in the afterlife. Life here, like that's one
Yeah.
thing.
No,
That's one
look,
thing.
look. This is just nonsense defending cruelty and extreme suffering, right? So basically, a child gets abused to death. Ah, well, who cares about the kid? The parents failed the test. You see, like this is the most disgusting mentality possible, right? It's like, well, who cares about the victim? The parents failed the test, and Allah will punish them. Who cares about the kid? But the parents did the wrong thing. Right? And yeah, just allow them to keep doing it over and over again. Here's the test. Will you murder this child to death? Will you abuse it? Yeah. Oh, you did. Oh, you failed the test. Well, why should we have that test in the first place? Hello, how you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lucy. Thank you for having me. I have been following you for a couple months now, and I'm really interested in the movement. And I tuned into this particular live when there was that individual talking about the majority, right? And I agree that we all need to think for ourselves, and I wanted to ask you if you've looked into interest convergence theory. It's a theory of change. Derek Bell is the critical.
Right. What's it about?
So it is. it's the idea that change can only happen if if our interests converge, intersect with those of the majority. And so how do we get the majority to share our interests? And
Yeah, well, there's been lots of revolutions in history where it didn't require the majority. And yet most legislation is done by a tiny minority, literally against the will of the majority, right? Most politics is quite literally against the will of the majority. Most things that the government will do is, if they put it up for a vote, it would get voted down every time, basically. So the majority has never really been a real thing, like about how the way the world is run, right? And most people are just sheep, essentially, unfortunately. And you can do a revolution and they'll just accept it most of the time.
I agree. I would say that maybe majority isn't the right word, because really it's the folks with the most money, no? Like that make any change that happens, their interests are upheld. Folks who, like in Derek Bell's interest convergence theory, he talks about the white elite are the people whose interests we need to converge with in order to make change. And
we're not looking to suck up to the elites and to ask them for favors. We're looking to literally do a revolution, start running the world ethically and properly, and to start to put an end to all of this terrible suffering. And we're not going to rely on them to do it, right? We don't expect them to ever agree, right? And so we're not going to be out there begging them, and expecting them to suddenly say okay. That's not realistic.
Okay, I understand. But
in terms of the majority and how that's relevant to revolution, it would obviously have to be looked into whether or not it would be viable. If we could take over the government, would people allow it? Would they kick us out? So would we have enough people to deal with it? So these are all considerations that have to be considered, but we still do support potentially doing a revolution, right? Like there are other ways to do it, right? There are other ways we could do it democratically if we can outnumber, out-reproduce other humans. So that's one thing that could potentially happen, right? Especially when you consider that, this could take hundreds or thousands of years to make happen. One way could be to have to out-reproduce other people, to have more extinctionists.
is there a particular revolution that you're motivated by, or that you know? Okay. I really recommend reading Avengers of the New World. It's a book about the Haitian Revolution, and how the enslaved people took over Haiti. They had a revolution of their own. It's the first Black Republic. Really amazing story, and I love hearing you talk about revolution. I haven't heard you. My algorithm hasn't showed me any videos of you using that word specifically. So that's very exciting to me. I'm definitely motivated by that. But anyways, thank you for having me.
Yeah, Luke, thank you for coming up. And maybe I should make a video about revolution. Okay, we've got plenty more people coming up. Next on, the Extinction Zone. Sorry for being cringe every now and then. I do have dad jokes just naturally in me, even though I'm not a dad. I'm a dad to all of you. There you go. All right, we've got Charlie coming up next. Not a dad. Hello.
I have a thesis. It is people's intolerance for suffering that is the problem. Consider this. Someone who cannot tolerate studying, so they flunk out of school. Someone who cannot tolerate working, so they decide to rape you. So
suffering is basically designed to be intolerable. right? So the point of suffering is to motivate you to do something. So if your hunger is intolerable, you will go and eat, right? So suffering is designed not to be tolerated.
But intermittent fasting or hunger has benefits as well,
Yeah,
spiritual and natural
I'm
and
sure it
physical.
does. I'm sure
So
it
what I'm
does. But
establishing is this suffering is not all evil. It's not all wrong.
right,
And then everybody
but
is not always suffering.
but
And then some
it's the
people that are
extreme
suffering is
suffering.
redemptive or productive for them.
But it's the extreme suffering which makes it unacceptable, right? You can't get rid of extreme suffering unless you have total extinction. So it's the only way to do it.
Well, you're putting an only there when you say it just makes it unacceptable to the degree that everyone has to be extinct, because you have people that are not suffering, some people that are suffering for good, and if you're not pessimistic, all of that can overcome that intolerable suffering that you're describing.
I
But
would
to
say if
just
you're
try to,
ignorant. I would say if you're
rush
ignorant,
to a
right?
conclusion
If
that
you ignore suffering, then it's easy to say that it can be outweighted, right? So that's not a good thing.
who's
Right?
ignoring suffering?
You're saying, oh, you're being pessimistic. Just ignore suffering, and then we can just imagine it's outbalanced by the happiness.
No, pessimistic doesn't have to have the ad that you added about ignoring suffering. I didn't say ignoring suffering. I said pessimism is believing that the suffering will not be ultimately overcome by the people of goodwill or God.
What do you mean by
if you
overcome?
subscribe
What
to
do you mean
faith,
by overcome?
or reduced, diminished, or taken away. If it's not
reduced isn't really overcome.
If it's not a qualitative suffering.
Reduced isn't really overcome, though. Like,
Well,
if you
I
reduce
didn't
slavery,
limit
you
it
haven't
to
overcome
reduce.
it. If you reduce slavery, you haven't overcome it at all.
Well, I didn't only limit it to reduce. I said a cessation as well. But reduction, if you got 3 people that are in slavery and you reduce 2 of it, you cessation. You
But
ended
if you
it
did that
completely
instead of
for
ending
2
all
people.
slavery,
So that's what I
like
was talking about.
if you would choose to end the slavery of 2,
But
then
that's
you could
not
have.
the end goal. But that's the progress.
So
That's
you
not
would
the end goal.
but
Is to only reduce it.
So
But
look,
as
for
you're
the movement
pursuing,
in America that was trying to end slavery, right? Would you have said, guys, ending slavery is not the way to do it, you should reduce slavery? Is that what you would have said?
Harriet Tubman was reducing slavery, but her ultimate goal was to end slavery.
Right,
So
you're saying
in
we
that
shouldn't
you should
end it.
receive your
You're saying we
answer
shouldn't end it.
that I'm not going to discount the value of reduction because it's not completely ended.
But don't you think ending it is more important than reducing
Of course, Harriet Tubman wanted it abolished completely. It's more desirable, but the process, you can't resign yourself to the process because it's not moving fast enough for you.
Look, this is nonsense, okay? This guy would have been out there saying, guys, don't end slavery. That's never going to work. Reduce slavery, right? And then, the slaves who were on the other side of the fence, they would have been like, oh, what the fuck? This guy, there's loads of activists there saying, end slavery. And this guy comes up and says, guys, don't end slavery. Reduce slavery slightly. Reduce slavery slightly. And the slaves are like, what the who the hell is this guy saying don't end slavery, reduce it? What the hell? So you can't have that kind of mentality, right? It's apologetic. He's been paid by the slave owners to say that, right? So this is just, it's really gross. It's really gross. And again, you need to start seeing suffering as, see it as slavery, basically. But again, it's worse than slavery, right? So it's even worse than slavery, and people are treating it like it's not. So yeah, we have to have a zero tolerance policy on suffering and cruelty. You can't say, no, don't end cruelty, reduce it. That's evil, okay? It might sound good in your head, but it really isn't good. Okay, moving on. We've got... Who else have we got? Okay, we need more volunteers for debates. So get your butts into the queue. We'll get you on stage. Let's get more conversations, more debates going. And if you disagree with extinction, let's hear why. Right? Do you have a good reason? Do you think suffering is acceptable? And most of these people that say we should reduce suffering, right? They don't actually mean it, right? They don't actually care. It's just any sort of excuse not to agree with extinction, right? And there is no reducing suffering going on for wild animals. It's never happened. Probably never will happen. Only extinction is going to help, right? So we're out here saying end all suffering, and people are like, no, reduce suffering, right? It's like end slavery. No, reduce slavery. The better position is to end slavery, end suffering, end cruelty, right? We're saying end child abuse, and people are saying, no, reduce child abuse, don't end it, right? Literally, this is literally what they're saying, right? Literally. Don't end child abuse, reduce it slightly. What the hell? No, end child abuse, end all of it. Hello.
I think, sir, in all probability, I think that this particular thought or philosophy would increase the suffering in the world.
How?
For example,
most suffering is animals in nature.
Imagine this movement. Okay, imagine this movement got together some scientists and billionaires, and they created a bomb and tried to get rid of everybody. But that bomb just didn't get rid of everybody. It just destroyed the earth and made the people behind just suffer.
Well, we should be thorough, right? So we wouldn't. Yeah, Charlie, we wouldn't rush it like you would, right? You would just find the first bomb and then just throw it without thinking, right? So we wouldn't do that. So the pro-extinction movement is working towards the most vast and thorough extinction possible, to be scientifically determined and carried out in an organized and intelligent way. Most people simply cannot wrap their heads around that idea. The idea of doing extinction in an intelligent way is simply beyond their ability to conceptualize, basically. Hello.
Okay, I actually was trying to understand this, but so explain to me that you're saying end all suffering by just removing everybody from the equation, right? So you're saying literally have nobody alive. That means no suffering exists.
Yeah.
Okay. So the concept of that is you're also removing the good in people. Like from the last example, the last guy was talking about
But
slavery.
would you simplify it to just, good has to exist no matter how much suffering there is?
There's always going to be good and bad in the world. That's the whole point.
I'm asking you a question. You really need to do better at answering them, right? Instead of dodging them.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Ask the question.
So you weren't listening, weren't paying attention.
No, I'm asking you, asking me the question.
Yeah,
in a
look,
different way, because
I'm sick of these people just completely not paying attention, not listening whatsoever while I'm talking, right? And then when it comes to responding to my point, they're like, let's talk about something else. I wasn't even listening. It's like, okay, well then you're done. You're out of here, right? You're finished. Do better. What's the point? Why would I want to debate someone that's like, oh, I wasn't listening? I don't really care what you're saying. It's like, Jane, hello.
Hi, James.
Hi.
Hi. So how would you go about ensuring that, so you think that this is achievable?
Yeah.
And rational?
Yeah.
Okay. So how would you go about ensuring that no microorganisms ever...
Science.
Okay, so what kind of science?
Life, biology, physics, chemistry, all of it.
Okay, what would that look like? What would that technology look like?
Why do you ask?
I'm trying to understand how what kind of technology would be utilized and developed in order to ensure that all...
Why do you want to know?
Because you said that your purpose is to eradicate all life.
Yeah. So why do you need to know the exact method?
Because if it's not, you said it's achievable.
No, I said we should try and do it, right? We should see if it's achievable.
Okay, so it's not about whether or not it's actually achievable and possible. It's
Yeah,
that
only a
it's
complete moron would want to, the complete proof that the cure for cancer is possible before trying to cure cancer.
okay. So why not instead try to cure cancer?
Right, what's cancer? How is cancer going to end animal abuse? Right, Jane, you're not thinking
Well,
properly.
I mean,
Okay, you're not thinking clearly. Right, ending cancer doesn't end all suffering, and you're advocating for reducing suffering, reducing slavery instead of ending it. Right? Let's keep the slaves because we make too much money. Right? Let's keep the suffering because we're having too much fun. Right? Stick, hello, how you doing?
Hey James, how you doing? Long time no talk. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Hope you're doing well. I just had just a quick thing that I just recently thought of, but I feel like sometimes increasing the net suffering is the lesser of two evils, and I'll give you an example of it seems counterintuitive.
What's this got to do with anything, then?
No, not. Let me just give you an example, right?
No,
So
I
if
want to
there's
know
like
how is this relevant?
I agree that we should end suffering. I was just giving.
Nick, if you're coming up to just share a random theory which is not related, then make a video on your own channel. Stephen, hello.
Hello, good sir. First off, I want to say your point is irrefutable. I admire you for being able to debate all these people. But so, say I'm a part of the movement, everyone's a part of the movement wins out, through. Well, one thing I did want to address was you said, you want to outpopulate the doubters or the people that disagree.
That's just one option, right? We're working on all options. But yeah, I mean, that it would be nice to do that, right? Stephen, you still with us? We're losing Stephen.
Oh, I'm here. I'm sorry. So I lagged out on that point, but you want to outpopulate them. But one thing that I don't see working with that is that a lot of times children don't agree with parents. Do you think that your methods would just be so irrefutable that you could convince all of those children to join the cause?
The thing is, it's about genetics. So extinctionism is due to genetics, right? It's a mutation which causes people to have enough empathy to actually care about suffering. So in that sense, not every child will become an extinctionist, but it's genetically based. So that's how we have to approach it. So
Gotcha.
Adopting wouldn't be as good, for example.
Gotcha. So the other thing I wanted to ask about is if we reach that point where we are about to fully, do the act at the end of time and ensure that everything was wiped out in the entire galaxy and would never come back or would be extinct again. What if there was a way to completely end all suffering with that technology that we did create? Would it then be an option worth looking into further if we could completely eradicate suffering?
I've covered this topic hundreds of times, but
Gotcha.
if we're making technology to do extinction and suddenly we find a way to click our fingers and everybody's in heaven, but that's the standard it would take, right? It would take essentially omniscience. That's the standard for safety that life requires, certainty of safety. So unless we can find that, then we're going to go with extinction. But yeah, if we find that and it's as simple as clicking your fingers, then yeah, maybe we would do it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all I have. You can move on to the next, I guess. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. Consider joining the Discord, the WhatsApp group, and all that good stuff. Read the manifesto on the website, the FAQ. Despru, hello.
Hi, James. Again, good morning. Okay, from South America. Yeah, I don't know if you remember me. I talked with you about this yesterday, I guess, or 2 years ago. I'm against it, I believe that The premise is a bit irrational, right? Because I think suffering is part of our natural emotions. I don't think we should end it. You know,
So do you
suffering
think
is something.
extreme suffering is okay?
I mean, that is part of our natural
So what
emotional
about child abuse? Do you think child
being.
abuse is bad?
No, that's a crime,
Right.
but
Okay. So that's like what, the third person today that's literally come on and said, no, child abuse isn't bad. So believe it or not, I will actually kick people out for saying child abuse isn't bad, right? But that's like at least the third or fourth person today that said, is child abuse bad? They'll go, no. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, good, thanks. I have two questions. One, when you say total extinction, do you mean total extinction of human species or all species?
All species.
Okay. Question two, the sun is going to expand and completely decimate the earth eventually. So your goal is literally inevitable. So all you really have to do is nothing.
So you think all of the suffering that we could prevent by doing it sooner, it just doesn't matter?
I mean, define prevent or sooner, because
Define
isn't every
prevent.
second every
Define
minute that
prevent. Is
goes
this a
by?
new word to you? Okay, so stop. Let's use the word stop instead of prevent.
Define prevent
If
sooner in
you've
this
never
context,
heard the
because
word
every
prevent.
minute that goes by.
Okay, let's just move on to someone less crazy. I think they were smoking drugs or something. Right, look, if you've never heard the word prevent before, then you've obviously had too much heroin, and it's rotted that part of the brain which did hold that
Hi.
definition. Hello.
So your worldview is everyone should die?
Kind of.
Alright, kill yourself.
Why?
Oh, because you want everyone to die. So just make it a little bit easier. Let's just kill ourselves real quick.
Make what easier?
Oh, the total extinction. Kill yourself now.
How does that end in...
Well, because that's the only life that you can legally take away, right? So kill yourself.
Well, yeah, I don't care about the law.
What? What? Okay, so why aren't you going around killing people then?
Yeah, because we have to do extinction in an intelligent way, right? It's not about running around with a machete like you would do, right? That we have to do it in a better way.
No, but I wouldn't do that because that's
Well,
not my
you're suggesting it, right? But let's do a more intelligent way, okay? So we have to do a fair extinction, right? So we're not the only life on this planet in the world, but we are the only ones that can help and prevent suffering. So lots of animals are being, trapped into lives of hell in nature around the world, and they can't do their own extinction. We have to do it for them. So, me not existing doesn't help to end animal suffering or anyone else's, right? And unless we do forceful human extinction as well, then people are going to keep having kids and abusing them. People are going to keep being forced into lives of hell. So it's not fair. It's not acceptable. We can't allow it. Total extinction.
Okay, but you're missing the point, which is that you are unable to control any of those things, or if
Why?
you are able to, or if you personally are able to control any of those things, you don't have.
Well, it's a movement, Joe. It's a movement.
You don't.
So it's not just about me
You do.
personally.
I know that. Okay, well, you and your movement. I don't know who's in your movement, but you and your movement currently do not have the courage to do what you would deem to be necessary. You do not have the courage nor the intelligence.
Yeah, again, we have to help those who can't help themselves.
To release a global.
Joe, you're yapping. I'm going to mute you for a second, right? So we have to help those who can't help themselves, right? So, me unaliving myself doesn't prevent children from being abused, animals from being abused, right? Only total extinction, forcefully carried out, will do that.
Yeah, so I'm saying get smarter and create a global pathogen that will kill everybody.
Well, no, we have that. That's not a
and
realistic
if you're unable to do that,
Joe, you would have us guess the science instead of doing the science. Okay, so extinction is going to be determined. The best way to do it is going to be determined with science. We're not going to listen to some jackass's opinion on the internet and go, right, that's it, everybody in the movement, jack off the internet or whatever his stupid name is. He said that we have to do a pathogen, so that's what we have to do now. We have to do a worldwide pathogen because this jackass on the internet said it. No, that would be incredibly stupid. So we're going to scientifically determine the best way to do it and then carry it out, right? That's the intelligent way to do it. Okay, glad we cleared that up. Right, so we are looking for some more volunteers for the queue. So I've got the camera on the other way around, so I'm not used to pointing that way. But yeah, join the queue and we'll get you up on stage. We can have a debate. You can ask your questions. And you can tell us why you think extreme suffering shouldn't be ended with total extinction, which is the only way to do it, right? The only way to make sure no more children are abused, no more animals are being tortured, no one's living with depression and forced to suffer ever again, is with total extinction, right? At the minute, people say that, yeah, anyone can have a kid, a psychopath, a sadist, a child abuser, let them have kids. Animals are, having kids where 99% get eaten alive as babies. Yeah, who cares? So people have the lowest respect for life possible. They don't care how bad the conditions are that life is in. They just care that it exists, no matter how much harm it causes, which is just completely insane and just supports infinite suffering and cruelty. Hello.
Hi, I have a question if it's okay. So I agree with total extinction, and of course it's gonna take a while to figure that out. But is there something that the movement does right now to minimize, or not minimize, for a head start for?
Yeah, so we're focusing on the big picture, right? Which is total extinction, and yeah, you can't just ignore that and then expect it to happen by itself. You have to focus on making it happen. And yeah, reducing suffering, it's something that is good when it happens, but it should never be priority over ending suffering, right? Reducing slavery is not as good as ending slavery. Ending slavery is more important, and ending suffering is more important than reducing it.
Of course, I agree with that, the goal is more important, and it's important to focus on it. And I also think that it's important to, if we can do something now too, of course, not to focus on it.
So what are you talking about exactly?
Because, for example, with the slavery, yes, it's the goal is to end slavery, but if you personally can right now save a few slaves, it's also important.
Well, the thing is, we can help everyone. So it's much more efficient, much more effective to help everyone instead of trying to help just one or two people.
Yes, but also isn't it important, if you meet a few slaves, for example, right now, and you are able to help them, isn't it a right thing to
it depends.
To help them also moving towards the main goal?
I mean, the thing is, right, is that we have to help everyone with a solution. Whereas, again, if you help one or two people, then you're ignoring the infinite number of victims that need help, right?
I don't think it's in terms of you're not neglecting the main goal while just helping. It's just something that you can do on the way.
There's no way we can reduce suffering anyway, right? You're suggesting something which isn't even possible.
Why do you think so? For example, in terms of, I'm sorry, my English is not perfect. I forgot the word. Basically, when they inject you with something and you die. What it's called. Right? Yes, thank you. So, for example, there are countries that legalized euthanasia.
But that affects a tiny fraction of the population.
Yes,
right?
But it's as I understand, before it was only legal for very ill people physically, but now it's also available for mentally ill people, and maybe we can, like, while we are here, because I'm pretty sure we will not be able to experience, unfortunately, the total extinction in our age.
Right.
But while we're here, maybe we could
So what
move.
would you have us do? You would have us just do activism for something completely different.
No, it's not different. It's still
It is.
helping.
Euthanasia does not cause extinction.
Well,
It doesn't help. It doesn't help the vast majority of the population on the planet.
but it can help the people. Look,
Right. Well, look.
what I
If
mean,
that's all you care about, you go and do activism for that. We'll focus on activism for this.
sorry, maybe I'm not talking properly. I'm sorry for that.
Elizabeth, don't worry about it. But look, if you want to do activism for euthanasia or something else or cancer research, you should go and do that, right? You can't expect me to split my time across different activisms, different movements. That's not going to work. Hello, how you doing?
Hello. Yeah. So if we do a total extinction today, that's gonna help the future victims. But what about the victims that lived, suffered, and died? They're not gonna get any compensation. Like a child that was abused for like 12 years and killed. Like,
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that, right? We just have to do what we can.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it sucks, right? Because like it's
But you can't go back
like
in
a crime.
time. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I know there's nothing like you can do, but it just like sucks to think that there will never be a compensation for like millions and billions of animals and children and like people lived and died and suffered.
Yeah, well,
And
we
it can
just
be
have to
like,
think about what we can do, you know?
yeah. And this is just last question, just a hypothetical. Do you think an infinite amount of pleasure can be worth it for like a finite amount of suffering? Like, let's say you go to hell for 3 years and then go to heaven for infinity. Is that worth it? Like a proper heaven, not like singing, like an actual euphoric.
I don't think it'd be
unlimited.
worth it, no.
Yeah, but it's like infinity versus infinity.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not-
that 3 years of hell would definitely feel like infinity. It would not be worth it.
Okay, yeah. Do you think somebody is irrational, like other than you, that chooses? Because I'm not talking about like, oh, you sing in the clouds. I'm talking about a euphoric, extremely euphoric, unlimited, like place. You could imagine anything and it would pop into existence.
Yeah,
And
look, this isn't
that,
realistic, right? It's not. You're
yeah, it's a
fantasizing
hypothetical.
about pleasure instead of caring about the responsible thing that we have to do, which
I
is
care. It's
provide
just a
safety.
hypothetical.
Yeah,
Just
look,
a hypothetical.
the answer is no, right? Suffering is not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, non-existence is like neutral. Suffering is negative. And pleasure is
Non-existence is
positive.
better than neutral, right? It's safe, basically.
So it's not neutral.
It's kind of better than neutral, really, right? It's safe, right? Those who are existing are being tortured. Those who don't exist are safe, right? They're better off.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. So would you say everybody is like, they should choose non-existence over 3 years in hell than infinity in heaven? Or
Well,
are they
look,
being irrational?
those types of hypotheticals are difficult to grasp with, but the reason why, and the reason why it's worth pointing that out, is because they're unrealistic. So it's much better to deal with realistic situations.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. Yeah, so like a lot of people say, oh, what if we can just limit suffering to a stubbed toe? Well, that's not realistic. So, arguing about that is essentially arguing and wasting time on something that's not even possible, not even realistic. So it is much better to argue against reality. Hello.
Wait, you can hear me?
Yeah, do you have any questions?
You remember the thing we talk about?
It sounds like you have some microphone issues. Can't hear you. So we're going to move on. We have Skibbideed coming up next. Hello.
Hello. So I just wanted to ask you, I'm pretty sure it's only a tiny fraction of people who support this cause. What are you gonna do to make this like a big movement?
Well, we're doing everything we can to make it a big movement, and it is working. The movement is growing. We have activists all over the internet, all over the streets. We're doing everything we can. Huh?
How many people though? Like you're saying people are interested, but I don't see any progression.
Where have you been looking?
Social media, same thing you told me.
Right, did you look at the website? We have a list of all of our social media channel pages.
Do you think government should come forward and make this a big movement? Like we should
That's
show
not
and
realistic. That's not going to happen. The government is not going to make this movement big. The government...
what's your goal though? What's your goal though? Like what kind of
Total
CA
extinction.
experiment? Like
The
do you
goal?
want to create domestic terrorist or something?
No. We want peaceful activists who are going to help us grow the movement until we have enough people to start running the world ethically and start doing extinction. So the more people, the closer we get to extinction. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
I wanted to ask you, what do you say to people who are suffering right now and want to live? What do you have to say to them? They're suffering, like they're in pain.
We would say support total extinction.
But why? But they're suffering and they still want to live. They love life.
Well, yeah, but we should try and get them to care about other people, not just themselves.
But my second question to you is, you're a beautiful looking gentleman. You are very healthy and you're alive. There are so many millions of people who want to be in your position.
How do you
Why
know
would
I'm
you want to
healthy?
end your life?
How do you know I'm healthy? You're just making assumptions.
Well, I am. You're right, I am. But from you coming on TikTok, you're talking to all these people, and you look healthy. You look fine.
Well,
you're not
it's
in kind
not
of
very
like in any
polite.
kind
It's
of.
not very polite to assume somebody's health, right? You wouldn't assume somebody's gender. You shouldn't assume
No,
their
but you're
health.
in complete denial. You're not allowing. You're not hearing anybody. All you can say is just put your
Well,
own
we
point
don't want to
across.
hear your
But
assumptions. We're not interested in your assumptions. Oh, you're a white boy. You're healthy. You're rich. You have no idea. You don't know anything about me, right? So, look, instead of trying to make it some personal thing because you're incapable of actually talking about the reasoning behind it, just go back to, some Christian religious TikToks or whatever other nonsense that you were doing before. All right, let's see who we got in the queue. We have Mine coming up next. Mr. Mine. Hello.
Hey, hello.
How's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, thank you.
I have just like it might be a little personal question, but aren't you just like in some sort of depression that you like want to end it all and you want to take all of us with you? Like, what's going on?
No, extinction would benefit lots of people and lots of animals. So it's about saying that no suffering is acceptable. Nobody should have to suffer.
But why do you assume that everybody's suffering?
You've just fallen into the classic mistake that everybody mistakes, right? I've never said that everybody is suffering.
But why is the suffering of a few like justified to end it all for everybody? Also, people who enjoy life.
Yeah, because suffering is not something which is acceptable, right? So most people would say that, child abuse, that's acceptable. Whereas we are saying, no, it's not acceptable. Suffering is not acceptable, basically.
So are you then like, is it acceptable for you guys to forcefully end our lives, the people who enjoy life and who want to live?
Yeah.
Like that's acceptable?
Yeah.
How is that acceptable?
Well, we have to break the cycle of suffering, right? If we don't defend the victims of suffering with force, then force will be used to make them suffer.
I don't know. I feel like you cannot play God over other people's
But
life.
that's what people are doing already, right? They're giving birth, playing God, and causing extreme suffering.
Giving birth is not playing God.
Right, so how is it not? Right, you're literally playing with life and death.
Giving birth is a natural like process of life. But ending someone's life forcefully, that is playing God.
So you think that killing and dying is like the worst thing possible?
That's not the worst thing possible.
So what's the worst thing possible?
Forcefully taking people's lives.
Okay, and so that will happen much more without extinction, right? So extinction is if you think killing is bad, then extinction is your friend. It makes killing impossible, whereas it will continue on much worse for billions of years otherwise.
So let's say you guys' plan works out and you get to a point that you can choose to end everybody's life. Like, are you gonna be okay with killing children,
Yeah.
seeing them scared to death,
Yes.
being
Yes.
alive?
But the alternative is worse. So we have to choose the lesser of two evils.
But how? Like, why? What makes you the authority to decide that for everybody? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, well, so having intelligence gives you the ability to make decisions. It's as simple as that, right? There is no authority. What authority would you want me to get, right? You would essentially say that in order to ban child abuse, I need authority. Well, I'm saying stuff your authority. We're going to do it anyway.
And why don't you just end the lives of the child abusers? Like, why do we need to suffer because other people are
Because
evil?
it's not just about bad people, right? You can suffer from illnesses as well, and injuries, accidents, and so it's not actually safe for life to exist, right? There is too much risk of extreme suffering and unacceptable suffering, right? That you could be you could break the world record tomorrow for the worst life ever lived, right? The most pain ever felt. So that's not acceptable.
So you're okay to end people's life. Let's say they are young and just starting off life, and you're totally okay with it to just make.
Making sure there's no suffering is more important than allowing life to exist.
That's just crazy. Like,
Why? What? So you think that extreme suffering is acceptable?
because not everybody is suffering extremely.
There you go. There you go. That's another one today, guys. We've just got another winner today. So you will only care if it's everybody. So unless everybody is being tortured, then fuck them. So 99% of the population being tortured. It's not everyone. Who cares?
But I just don't feel like a few people.
So how many is too many?
There is no.
Yeah, so you don't care how many people suffer. 99% can be tortured, and you don't care.
No, listen, like, me personally, like, obviously I've been through some things like everybody, but I've gone through it and I've built
So,
up.
so how many people is too many, right? How many victims of extreme torture is too many?
There is no, and also like extreme.
You're not answering that question. Are you finished? Are you done? Are you cooked and served? Or do you want to answer?
I cannot give you a number. That's impossible.
She cannot answer, right? She has conceded, admitted defeat. Okay, so yeah, she's like, well, should child abuse be allowed or not? She's like, yeah, why not? It's only a few, right? It's not everybody. And it's like, okay, so what? So we should only ban child abuse and torture if it's everybody? She's like, well, I can't give you a number. So what? We should allow extreme torture on the basis of, oh, well, who cares, right? We don't need a set number. As long as it's not everybody, then that's it. So, we've seen this again and again today where people say, it's not everybody. So I will only care and agree that a life of pure hell, I'll only agree that it's unacceptable if it's everybody that has to suffer it. So again, so extinctionists have a zero tolerance policy on, forcing innocent people to suffer a terrible life, right? A zero tolerance policy on suffering, right? Lives of pure hell, child abuse to the point of death, right? So we're against all of these bad things. And we're saying that no amount is acceptable. We should have a zero tolerance policy on extreme suffering and bad lives, right? And they're saying, well, a terrible life where you're begging for death every day. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But, it's not everybody, right? So we should only care if it's everybody. So yeah, 99% of the population forced into a horrifically terrible life, begging for death. That's fine. It's not everybody. So that's the way their morality works, basically. It works on excuses and appearances, right? It doesn't work on any actual ethical or moral principles. All of these people saying that we shouldn't end all suffering, they have no idea what they're talking about. And as soon as you question them on it, it becomes very immediately obvious that their opinions are completely jokes, right? Just ridiculously baseless. You ask them to justify what they've just said, and they'll pretend you never said it and just move on to just change subject. Because they have no justification for their nonsense opinions. They can't defend them, right? That's one of the main reasons I kick people out, is because people refuse to defend their own words, their own positions, right? They'll say, oh, no, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. In fact, a lot of them will say, I didn't say that. That's another thing to look out for. Look out for how many say, I never said that, when they just did. Hello, Stick.
Hey, yeah, I requested by accident, but let me just think of a question real quick. Yeah. So about the genetic thing, right? Could you like how does genetics? Because I feel like you could just think, like if you have a mind, you could think. You don't.
Yeah, that's a brilliant
necessarily-
point. That's a brilliant point. So most people have this complete misconception where they think that everybody just has a mind and you can think and that's it, right? To, you know, blank slate. It couldn't be further from the truth, right? It's so far from being the case that it's insane, right? The human brain and animal brains are actually made up of extremely complex, like, differences, basically, right? Massive differences.
Okay.
That determines what you like, what your personality is, determines like hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of things about your personality. So everyone's so different. It's not because they had a different upbringing. Yeah, that makes a difference. But it is mostly genetic, right? A narcissistic person, for example, that's genetic. Like a really aggressive, violent person, that's genetic, right? People have the misconception that it's all from upbringing.
A person born as a boy, but their brain, something about it, they think of themselves as a girl. So clearly the brain has a lot of impact, right? Like trans people, mental illness, OCD. Yeah, I can see how the brain affects.
Yeah. I
a
mean,
lot of things.
look how many people have mental illness, right? I mean, to think that every single human has the exact same brain, it's just a complete delusion. Right? It's pure ignorance, basically. It's so far from that being the case, right? It's actually the exact opposite, right? So you should all learn about this, right? In my personal growth journey and learning about stuff and learning about extinction, I'm learning more and more about evolution. I'm learning more and more about genetics, and basically it explains everything. It explains the entire world. You should all learn more about this stuff. It really opens your eyes to the way the world works. But so empathy and rationality are genetic. And one of the best ways to understand why extinctionism is genetic is the following. So animals started out with, small brains, and then they got more and more complex. And in the same way that Neanderthals and monkeys have, lesser brains, humans also have animalistic brains as well. So, a lot of people think that humans are, perfectly intelligent now because we're no longer animals, but that's actually not the case at all, right? Humans are extremely animalistic. They just have the ability to talk. That's kind of the main difference. But so it's all genetic. Your entire personality, your beliefs, your principles, these are largely genetic. And the same is true of extinctionism, but it's slightly different. Well, quite different, actually. So one of the main differences genetically which extinctionists have is that we have higher levels of rationality and empathy. And so higher levels of rationality means essentially being more able to say things that make sense and to defend coherent positions and to not say things which don't make any sense at all, right? So we have loads of people on the stream debating, demonstrating that they are irrational. For example, they'll say things like, yeah, every baby can commit suicide if they want, right? A 1-day-old baby, yeah, they can commit suicide. They know what it is. People will say things like, suffering is always good for you. Nobody ever doesn't benefit from suffering. We'll say things like, what about when children are being abused to death? And they'll say, well, they all go on to have good lives. And it's like, no, they're dying. And they're like, no, none of them die. So that's an example of irrationality. It's when you're saying something that's like just doesn't make any sense. It's completely insane. And so extinctionists have less of that, right? Our positions, what we say, the way we understand things actually makes sense, right? It's not based on complete nonsense like most people have.
Yeah, and like about your parents had like the average genetics, so why did you turn out as an extinctionist? Because like,
Yeah,
is there like a random?
So it's down to mutations, and it's also down to evolutionary pressure. So as humanity is, going on and technology is getting more advanced, society is getting more advanced, everyone has to go to university and compete for high, paying jobs and stuff. So that's actually pushing our intelligence level up. And in that sense, it's really interesting. Life is kind of self-defeating. It goes from being like bacteria to being intelligent life that will shut down life, basically, with extinctionism. So as society continues on, unless we have an idiocracy situation where things get worse for society and stupider, which is possible, then we're confident that society and humanity is moving in the right direction, and that the next generation is going to have even more extinctionists. So the pressure on humanity and life to be more intelligent, again with competition, that's the main drive, right? Competition itself is the main force in biology, which drives increases in intelligence for the next generation through evolution and pressure. So that's what we're dealing with today. Now, the only downside that increasing technology could have is that it could make it so that we just rely on AI and we all become stupider and think less. But on the other hand, you have improving genetics, right? So there's a very good chance that humanity will start trying to improve its genetics properly, like to really really go for it. And if they do, then we are confident that any increases in intelligence will favor extinctionism, basically.
Yeah. Another question is, do you think like the observer is the author of its actions? Like, is the observer, does it have free will?
No. So there's no free will. Everything is determined, cause and effect. And basically, the way the mind works is that it really is just doing calculations and stuff, but it feels like you're doing them. So the thoughts that you're having, they've been set up by just things in the brain that do that, and then you just get to experience actually processing the thought, and it feels like you're the one doing it, but actually you are actually just passive there, even though it feels active.
Yeah. So how do we grow the movement? And like, because you say like these people are irrational, but if they're like forced, and by the way, like I think it's possible that free will exists. I mean, we don't know all of the laws of physics and everything about the universe.
But what would free will even be? What would free will even be?
I mean, what would consciousness even be? Why is there consciousness? That's even more mysterious than free will.
It's very mysterious. I agree. I've always thought it's extremely mysterious. But that is something that exploring the truths and the mysteries of consciousness is part of what we will need to do for extinctionism.
Yeah.
So we support using science for a good reason, not for capitalism and just making money. But we should be using it for good reasons, and that involves exploring all of the mysteries of the universe, understanding how the universe came about, reality itself. We have moral obligation for providing safety to actually understand all of this stuff. Whereas, again, most people right now would only do it for fun. But we should do it so that we can provide safety. Actually use it for a good reason, right? Use the knowledge for responsible reasons instead of just, oh, life is so interesting. You can explore the mysteries and just have fun.
No,
there's responsible things we need to do, not just have fun.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I found very, very strange about like consciousness is that the set of impersonal facts generate a personal identity. What I mean by that, like right now, there's an I or a me. There's like a self, right? But that is underpinned by third person facts. So there's a category jump from the third person impersonal to the first person personal identity. Like a atom is impersonal, a collection of atoms that make up a neuron are impersonal, a collection of neurons are impersonal, the brain is impersonal. So
we understand it as all being down to evolution, 100% of it. All of the amazing stuff to do with consciousness, all of it, we put it down to evolution.
Yeah. And why do you think a particular brain gives rise to a specific observer? Like, why are you specifically in that brain?
Yeah, I call it almost like a unique ID, right?
Okay.
We don't know, but we should try and find out. So it's a great question. What makes you you? Why aren't I in a different body? Why am I not, the next door neighbor? We don't know. I don't think. I'm sure there's probably some great theories out there. To be fair.
Yeah. Why are you born once? Why aren't you like born twice? Like in UK and in like China at the same time? Like similar. There's like two very, very similar brains that they give rise to the same observer. So you'd be both in UK and China at the same time. That would be very weird.
Yeah. We don't know all the answers, but we should find them out so that we can use that information for good.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for the talk. Have a good day, James.
All right. Thank you, Stick. And you were talking about how to grow the movement. It's as simple as like you can just make videos saying we have to end all suffering. Total extinction is the way. Join us at proextinction.com. Right? Anyone can make videos like that. Hello.
Hello. Because I just came across you about a week ago, and I just think it's really interesting what you're saying. And I do agree with a lot of it. I mean, the world is awful. It's terrible. But the thing that I can't really get my head around is the fact that your movement promotes and wants women to have babies. And I just think, because I'm in a kind of a movement at the moment where we do not want to have more babies because the world is so vile and because men grape and unalive us at an alarming rate every day. So that's the only thing that really bothers me. And I don't know, is there another way that we could get around that? Like, could we, I mean, there's so many people already, could we just like, would you ever think about something to change with that rule that you have?
Well, the problem is that antinatalism sees humanity as the problem, whereas actually humanity is the solution. So instead of having, and the thing is that not having kids, essentially, it's a passive solution, which leaves the world to horny sadists, basically. So that's why it's passive and doesn't really help, because it's not really solving the problem. So
did you say horny sadists?
Yeah.
So if we don't have babies, we are giving ourselves an opportunity for horny sadists to come and grape and unalive us.
No, but to do it to others, right? So not having a child.
Right. So a woman deciding not to have a child is putting another woman at risk of a man unaliving and graping her, when it's actually nothing to do with women at all. It's a man deciding to do that.
Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. But for example,
Is it?
we have to consider animals as well, and so we can't.
Yeah, I'm just putting animals to one side. Like, I mean, obviously, there's a whole kind of structure that goes on with this if this movement were to ever happen. But I'm talking about women not, and also you're encouraging women to give birth in a world that we really don't want to do that anyway because it's so dreadful.
But
you're encouraging them to do it for then that child to be extinct.
Yeah, but not having kids doesn't solve the problem though. And again, it's basically discrimination against animals, because animals can't help themselves, and so we're saying, yeah, who cares? Let them help themselves, even though we know they can't, right? We'll help ourselves, even though we could help them. So we should help those who can't help themselves first, and not having kids doesn't help anybody else's kid. right? So you might have protected your child, but you're still
Yeah.
allowing other psychopaths to keep having kids and to keep making them suffer forever
Okay.
on.
So do you think that your movement would ever consider a reward for women that would decide to have children, even
Yeah.
though we were part of the movement that we
Yeah.
did agree that we should go extinct,
Yeah.
but we're helping obviously in a huge way. I mean, it risks our health and everything. So, you know, if
Yeah.
that would have to be something considered, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, it's really, I mean, I don't know. It's very interesting.
Look,
I will give you
reproducing,
that.
reproducing with humans is a temporary thing, right? So that we can, finish the job properly. Right? We're the only ones that can do it. So
It's very hard, I think, for a woman to actually be pregnant and give birth knowing that we're, actively wanting to become extinct. I think emotionally that would be very difficult.
I agree. Yeah, like 1,000,000%. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And it would be completely insane to say anything else. But equally, most people are going to keep reproducing anyway, and so we can encourage people to keep giving birth, but we can't expect them to really understand or agree if they don't agree with extinction anyway. So. But equally, yeah, for those who will understand and listen and consider giving birth, basically the thing is that for every extra human we have, it prevents millions of wild animals from existing and suffering. So the more humans, the less animal suffering there is anyway. And think of it this way: the fewer humans we have on the planet, the less capable we will be of doing a total extinction for everyone. It will
So
make
it's
it
like
much
it's
harder.
almost like an army, like producing an army, I guess.
Yeah. So in a way, activism is about reproducing, right? We're reproducing new activists by teaching people about the movement, but we also need to reproduce new activists, on purpose. But we also need humanity to continue as well, right? If humanity starts to decline in population, it will make it very difficult to do animal extinction and total extinction. So we can't allow that to happen, and to risk human extinction and the decline of the human population right now, it is taking chances, right? It's saying, well, yeah, we'll take that chance and just YOLO it, basically.
Yeah, it's very brave, very brave. I mean, I thank you for answering my question, and I continue to be interested. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know, it's so crazy, but it does make sense. So thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming up. It doesn't make sense to most people, so I am impressed that you seem to understand what I was saying there. To be honest, I was expecting a bit of feedback, but yeah, great. So yeah, consider reading our website. We've got lots of information on there. We've got our manifesto, FAQ, everything. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I don't know if I entirely understand your position just yet, so I'm going to ask, I guess, a clarifying question, if that's okay. Do you believe we have a moral obligation to, an objective moral obligation to end suffering for other people?
Yeah, so this is interesting, right? We don't rely on objective, moral obligation, like being objective, right? The thing is, for somebody that's looking for that kind of thing, they're usually looking for oh, do I have to though? Like, do I really have to? And it's like, well, objective morality, it proves that you do. And then they'll be like, oh, fine, I guess. So that's the case for most people when they're asking these questions, right? So we actually care about life. We're not doing it because we have to, right? We actually want to help make sure that nobody is suffering. Whereas again, morality for most people is like rules essentially. And it's like, oh, fine, I guess I'll follow the rules. For us, it's like, yeah, helping people, great. Let's do it.
I see. But so if you don't think we have an obligation to do it and you just think it's preferable, at least for you, to do it.
I mean, there is an obligation if you care about being a good person, right? So that obligation exists if you care, right? If you accept that obligation, if you want to be moral. then you will have that obligation, right? Again, for those people that don't care about being a good person, don't care about helping, then it becomes like an oppressive obligation on them, right?
Well, I guess I'm a little confused now then, because if we are obligated to do it to be good people, I mean, it kind of does seem like you're saying there's some objective obligation, or at least under the sense of
But
good.
you don't need
employ.
objective obligation for that, though, right? So
Okay,
if I say, oh, I've just helped my neighbor and I donated a kidney to him, you'd be like, oh wow, you must be a really good person, right? So you don't need like God to come down and touch you on the head and say this is objectively good for you to say, yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Well, then maybe explain how you understand good.
Well, the same way everyone else does, right? Like you have positive and negative, right? Child abuse is bad, safety is good, not suffering is good, suffering is bad. These are obvious things.
Well, it's not obvious that we should, perform mass extinction. So we're lost somewhere, right?
I agree that's not obvious, which is why
Right.
we do have to tell people about it.
Yeah, so bridge the gap there. So under what notion of good is it the case that we need to extinct the entire planet or population?
Yeah, well, it means there'll be no more extreme suffering, no more bad lives, right? No more torture, no more cruelty. So all of the bad things will be gone. So that's a massive net positive, right? There'll be total safety. There'll be no more extreme suffering ever again. Total safety. And the unfairness of life will come to an end, right? The cruelty, the miserable unfairness of this world will be put to an end, and there'll be no more victims ever again, being exploited.
Okay, well, I guess we might have to agree to disagree, right? I don't think, for example, like catching and eating a fish is immoral at all. I don't know how we have obligations.
Well, I never
to
said anything
fish,
about
for
you.
example.
I've never asked you anything about fishing.
Well, I'm just saying, for example.
Right, but again, yeah, it's about whether you care about being a good person or not. So for most people, it's like, oh, I want to go fishing. Hang on, let me check. No, it's objectively immoral. Damn. Right? So morality isn't a list of rules and like, oh, you're permitted to do this and you're not permitted to do that. But for most people, it is like it's basically tying them up, restricting them, binding them. Like, oh no, morality. Oh, what? You prove that's moral, right? So he wants to just allow the suffering, and he wants some sort of objective proof that it's not right. But his standard is impossible, right? His standard is objective proof, like objective morality. It's like God coming down and touching him on the forehead and showing him the truth, right? So that's never going to happen, right? And if you need objective morality and all that nonsense in order to be a good person, then it just proves that you're a bad person, right? So the first step, or the first question really should be like, when discussing morality is like, well, are you looking to maximize morality like we are? Are you looking to make the world as ethical as possible and as good as possible? Or do you care about being a good person? Do you want morality? Like, the thing is for us, right? We learn about morality, we explore it, we develop it, we create it at the pro-extinction movement so that we can do better because we want to, right? We like being good people, we like helping. So morality is a tool for good. Whereas for most people, it's a tool for restriction. Like, you can't do that, it'd be immoral, right? For us, it's like, yes, this would be the better way to do it ethically. Stephen, hello. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. Do you have any questions?
Well, good day. Hi.
Yeah.
Yo, I don't have most questions for you, girl.
Okay, no worries. Stephen has no questions. Now, people are saying, add a guest. Yeah, okay, let's get some more guests on. Now, sadly, we don't have many people in the queue right now, so we could do with getting some more guests up. But Elizabeth, hello.
Yes, hi again. I've got some more questions during the live. So, first question is, could you maybe give some sources on the researches that show that our personalities are much more dependent on our genetics?
Yeah.
Because most of what I researched before was basically saying like it's 30 to 50 or 60% genetics, but also the environment is
Yeah. So
responsible on how our genetics play. Also, not only like determines our personalities and views, but also determines how our genetics play out eventually. Like all this suffering and trauma that we experience, like even like PTSD, for example, it changes our brain physically, for example, or some other diseases that we gain during the life. So it also changes the personality. So I was curious about that.
yeah. So you should read up on Robert Sapolsky. He's written lots on this, and yeah, his best book is Determined: A Life Without Free Will.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, also about you go about determinism a lot, which is one of the many philosophical points. Like why specifically determinism?
Well, the point is that determinism or materialism, it's a way of understanding. It's the correct way to understand the way the world works, right? That
Why
there
do
is
you
no
think it's
magic.
correct? There's no consensus in scientific fields
Well, there
that
is.
will say that determinism is the correct one.
Well, the alternative is magic, basically.
No,
So
it's not. There's also nihilism, for example.
nihilism has nothing to do with free will or determinism.
Determinism is directly about free will, that we don't have it, but it's still just a philosophical point of view on the world.
It's the way the world. It's cause and effect, basically. So the alternative is magic, right?
No, it's not. Because, for example, there are so many complicated, even like chemical reactions on the brain that will change. Basically, like if you woke up like in the bad mood or in the good mood or the sun is shining, it will affect.
There's a rational explanation for everything, right? It's not because the stars aligned in a certain way.
No, but like for example, yes, if the sun is shining, like there are researchers that say it improves the mood, the vitamin D, and all this. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
physically
hormones, it's
affecting.
chemicals, it's all cause and effect, right?
Yes, but again, it's still not in the full point of determinism. Like it's still very variable. Like you can't know how it's gonna affect you.
Right, but that
Day to
doesn't mean there
day.
is free will. Just because you don't know how something works doesn't mean it works in a magical way.
Also, the consciousness is still not researched enough to point to determinism, because consciousness is also a big factor to that. How we gonna process one or another event or information depending on time or space where you are.
Elizabeth, look, the truth is that the world is determined, right? So whatever's going to happen in the future is guaranteed to happen. Okay, so basically, people confuse free will and determinism. They don't understand how to think about it correctly. But you should really just watch some videos on it. Just Google it a bit. People that believe in free will think that. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. That's the crazy thing, is that the concept of free will doesn't even make sense, right? The concept itself doesn't even stand up. It collapses upon immediate inspection, right? So what could free will even be? What is free will? What do people even think it is, right? It's something which doesn't exist. And it's the idea that what is even the idea? That you can just do whatever you want. Based on what, right? It's just crazy, right? It's obvious that your knowledge, your experiences, your personality, all of that decides what you think and what you do. They think there's some sort of magical soul, basically, but it doesn't even hold up, right? Even if you start to imagine it, start to picture free will, it collapses. It's not even possible, right? The idea is essentially that your decisions aren't based on your brain, like they're not based on. It's like it doesn't make sense. So look, determinism is essentially saying that reality makes sense, that it can be explained rationally. So like cause and effect is saying, well, this happened, and so it knocked over the next domino, basically, like cause and effect, right? So this falls because something knocked it, right? Cause and effect. That's determinism, right? So your decisions and your thoughts are a chain of cause and effect, right? That is the fundamental of how the entire world works. And people believe that the thought process, the decision processes don't make sense like that. That instead of cause and effect, what? Magic, basically. Something else. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's like saying that your decisions are based on nothing. Why would you want that? Okay, thank you for joining us, everyone. We're going to take a break for a bit. We might even call it for today. But yeah, join us on Discord and the WhatsApp group. The links are on the website, and you can check out all of that on my profile on TikTok. If you're interested in getting some merch, then contact me, send me a message on TikTok, and we'll have to sort it through PayPal and your shipping address. And yeah, we've got sweaters, hoodies, and t-shirts. We've even got a coffee mug, and potentially new products as well. All of the proceeds and the profits will go directly to the movement and not to myself. So yeah, let me know if you're interested, and any other questions about anything, send me a message on TikTok or Discord.